Welcome, baseball fans. It's ODAC tournament time here from Fox Field in Lynchburg. Kyle Haney, Evan Gates. We're into the month of May. We're still playing baseball. We've got a great one on tap. It is ODAC opening weekend play here. The number 1 seed Lynchburg Hornets taking on the number 8 seed Bridgewater Eagles. Evan, you start this deal back in February when it's freezing cold. Now we're into early May. It's classic baseball weather. I think both teams are feeling good. I think they're going to rise to the occasion.
Absolutely. This is the time of the year. It's crunch time. No matter what has happened in the regular season, you have to come out and play. And although these Hornets are undefeated at home, we know that anything can happen. It's Zach Potts on the mound, so for Bridgewater, it's going to be important to get out early, get the bats go rolling, and continue to just try and find success early in the ball game.
Yeah, I think the start will be key for both ball clubs. And real quick about the format, this is game 1 in a best 2 out of 3. First team to win 2 advances. We'll play 1 tomorrow at noon and then an if necessary game after that. And then the winner of this series will go to Richmond for the final 4, if you will, for the ODAC tournament. So it's an interesting format, Evan. I think for Lynchburg, their pitching depth, a lot of games in a short amount of time, I think benefits the Hornets.
Absolutely, and like you mentioned, this will be the last time that there are home series in the ODAC before going to a neutral site, so you might see a little more energy from the Hornets, but like you said, all season long it's been a pitching staff that has been nationally recognized. You just have to come out and make your pitches and not shy away from what you've done all season.
If you're the Bridgewater Eagles, maybe you're thinking about Kentucky Derby Day. Long shots win that thing sometimes. Maybe an 8 seed could upset a number 1 seed. That's what Bridgewater will be trying to do today. We've got the national anthem next, and then it's first pitch between the Hornets and the Eagles. ODAC Conference Baseball coming your way next on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network.
A lot of people go to the universities to find something to be a part of while getting their education. And when you come here, Lynchburg is that something, it becomes a family. It's what the school's really good at doing.
Being a part of the different activities and organizations that I've been a part of, I'm actually able to see myself where I'm like, hey, I actually can make a change. I'm one person that can make a difference.
Division III has helped me to develop teamwork skills, critical thinking skills, time management skills.
It's not just about basketball or it's not just about school, it's about developing yourself as a person altogether.
Great moments are born from great opportunity. That's what you have here tonight. That's what you've earned here tonight. This is your time. Now go out there and take it.
Every great college has a great city. For Lynchburg, we are near urban areas with lots of restaurants, shopping, and events. Plus, we are one of the top schools in the area. Come see for yourself.
To them, the whole world looks like an opportunity, one to be seized, built upon, and made better for their sport and the people around it. To student athletes, every opportunity is a chance to change what could be and show the world what opportunity can do.
Football has taught me a lot throughout my life. It's definitely had a huge imprint on who I am as a person. Competing at a Division III level created that opportunity for me to go to college. Not only was I the first one in my family to graduate college, but I was really the first one to even go. Being the first one, I'm breaking that cycle, and now that I've graduated, I'm not sure what's the next step, but I know I have a lot of doors open. And a lot of those are open because I played football and ran track here at Otterbein.
Think a private education is too expensive? Think again. At the University of Lynchburg, you can get a personalized education for the cost of a state school. If you're commuting and you get our top scholarships, you could pay much less. And you get all that without the hassle of giant lecture halls. Our faculty know your name here and do more than just teach. You might even do research together and plan out your next career moves.
What you're missing. It really don't matter to me. I'm just happy to be here. I might go crazy.
A lot of people go to the universities to find something to be a part of while getting their education. And when you come here, Lynchburg is that something, it becomes a family. It's what this school's really good at doing.
College has given me the flexibility to pursue my passions and my interests, and I've recreated my identity for myself aside from just being an athlete.
My greatest personal discovery has been that I am capable of doing things that I didn't know I was capable of doing.
To be able to study what I wanted to and continue to play the sport I love, all of those things came together very nicely in one package in Division III.
At Lynchburg, we don't fear change. We embrace it. In our students, on our campus, in our community, and around the world. We're building on our legacy of always moving forward. It's the same place, with a new name. Welcome to the University of Lynchburg.
My name is Sarah Watts, and I'm a computer science major. I chose to play softball at the University of Lynchburg because I came to friendlies and camps, and the team and the coaches were so welcoming, and after that, I knew this was the place for me. The University of Lynchburg has helped me achieve goals because through my classes, I do group projects, and I think that will prepare me for my job when I need to work with people. The person that has the most influence in my life would be my parents, because throughout my softball career, they have done nothing but support me. And when I have bad games, they always pick me up. And they're always the people that I go to for anything because they just know that they're always there for me. I like playing softball at the University of Lynchburg because the girls and the team, they're all super fun to be around, and they always welcome you, and they're always there if you need anything. And if you ever have any questions, they're the people that can answer them for you.
The Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network proud to present Old Dominion Athletic Conference Tournament Baseball opening weekend here from Fox Field. Kyle and Evan back with you on a sunny Saturday in May. Tournament time, Evan. Basketball gets all the love as being a tournament sport, but college baseball, it comes down to this. Yeah, you might be able to get an at-large bid to get in the NCAA regional tournament, but what you do in these conference tournaments, very important. You see so many exciting moments, whether it's a upset with somebody like an 8-seed Bridgewater or just an all-time performance from one of the top seeds. This really is what you play for right here.
Absolutely, and we know competition is stiff across the nation, so in a situation like this for the Hornets, who are continuing to be ranked throughout the season, why not do it yourself? And with Zach Potts on the mound today, the ace for the Hornets, it's a very high chance that they can get out to something quick and maybe hold these Eagles to a low-scoring affair.
Yeah, Zach Potts undefeated on the season at 9-0. He is the all-time wins leader here at the University of Lynchburg with 25 in his career. Actually, last two starts, Evan, back-to-back no decisions. That was last weekend against Guilford, and then go back 2 weekends ago up at Shenandoah. Zach Potts pitched very well, but got a no decision up there on the road in Winchester. Last weekend, we can briefly touch on what Zach Potts did. I don't think it was Zach's A game, but he stayed in the game. He kept Lynchburg in the game. Offense comes alive for Zach Potts in those middle and late innings, like we thought would happen. And Potts ends up handing the ball off to the bullpen, who does a fabulous job of getting the win for Lynchburg last weekend against Guilford. All that being said, I think Zach Potts wants to be a little bit sharper today.
Well, it was his first time this season allowing double-digit hits, but like you said, Baylor Kelmy came into the ball game, got his second win of the season, and for Potts, he still only allowed 1 walk and had 7 strikeouts. So even on a down day, he's able to maybe limit the damage around the base paths that's not coming from contact, but obviously Bridgewater wants to get the bats hot, and Potts will have to make sure that he has his A game today.
No doubt about it. Leadoff hitter is Jarrett Biesecker. We're going to tell you more about him in just a minute. He'll be followed up by Brett Tharp, Brandon Hartman, Hunter Clever, Lucas Bauer, Isaac Sumter, Jeffrey Snyder, Nick Stavros, and Jonathan Sexton. Bridgewater coached by Ben Spots in his 4th season. We'll talk about his wonderful coaching career here in just a minute. It is Holden Fiedler, the battery mate again for Zach Potts. Like we thought, there's strike 1 around the infield. Josh Jorman at first, Ben Jones at second. The Batman and Robin combo partner at shortstop is his high school teammate, Brandon Garcia. Gavin Collins at third. In the outfield, you've got Avery Neves in left, Carson Atkins in center, Jackson Harding in right. That's the defense right now for Lynchburg. We assume we'll see some changes. We've touched on depth in the bullpen briefly, pitching depth for Lynchburg, Evan, in our preview. Lynchburg's got some depth offensively and defensively, too. We've seen that variety of lineups all season long, and Lynchburg has made the most out of their different players. There's Jarrett Biesecker with a single to get the party started for Bridgewater. Leadoff man is aboard. That is career hit number 254 for Biesecker, 5th-year man out of Pennsylvania, who is going to end up as one of the all-time best hitters in ODAC history.
Can't do it much better than that. For the Eagles, it's going to be important in this first inning to start making contact. If you remember in that doubleheader that Lynchburg had last weekend with Guilford, Guilford scored first in the first inning, both games, and it seemed that momentum really started off in their hands. And so if you're the Eagles playing a team that has been down that path many times, certainly helps to start the run scoring early on.
Lynchburg did have to play from behind both games last weekend. They do get 2 wins over Guilford to secure the top seed in this ODAC tournament. Regular season champs, Lynchburg. And Lynchburg played from behind in Game 2 against Bridgewater back in early March. We'll talk about the first time these two ball clubs met. Lynchburg won both, but they were close games. 9-3 Game 1, 6-5 a walk-off win for Lynchburg in Game 2. And all those things are part of that undefeated record here at home for Lynchburg, Evan. 20-0 at James C. Fox Field this season, as we see a couple tosses to first from Zach Potts, keeping an eye on the speedy Biesecker, leadoff man, on board.
Hornets have certainly had a fair share of close ones here at Fox Field, and sometimes the record might not tell the entire story, but one thing that's important to note with Lynchburg is just how many times they fought back in games, because, like you said, starting off playing from behind, if you can learn to do that and still pick up victories, it's going to help you in tournament time.
Wipeout slider for Zach Potts. That is out number 1. Brett Tharp is down swinging. Here comes Brandon Hartman. He is putting together an outstanding season. 423 average for Hartman. He's got 21 doubles. We were just marveling about that, Evan, because Lynchburg's team leader in doubles is Carson Atkins. He's only got 11, so Brandon Hartman has really been banging it around this season.
You know it, and he's tied for 10th in Bridgewater history for batting average in a single season. If it ended today, so you know that he has certainly made his mark, not just from a batting standpoint, but all around, and those are the types of players that in a situation like this, when it's crunch time, you'd love to have in the lineup.
Hitting third there for a reason, the man from Lumberton, New Jersey, junior Brandon Hartman. He'll swing through that one. Gotta like what you're seeing from Zach Potts early. He is peppering that outside corner right at the knees. That one was a breaking ball. I think the first pitch was a fastball, so let's see what Lynchburg chooses to do here. 0-2. Target in the other batter's box from Fiedler. There is one out. Infield double play depth. Gavin Collins maybe a little bit deeper than average with the power man Brandon Hartman in the batter's box at the moment. Designated hitter to start Game 1 in this best 2 out of 3 series. Another strikeout. Got him with a slider again, I believe, Evan. I think, again, you're seeing early indications that Zach Potts is switched on and ready to go here in this tournament game.
Well, if it's working early on, you got to keep throwing it. And Zach Potts, throughout his career, has done a phenomenal job of relying on what he does best. And especially at this top half of the Bridgewater lineup, you really have to trust your stuff, even if you had a rocky outing the game before.
Yeah, he's got everything. The two-seam fastball's got a lot of depth and sink to it. The slider that you see there, sometimes it's a little bit tighter. Some folks even just call it a cutter, but you saw it on display with that pitch there, just out of the hand. I think hitters do not see it very well, and it breaks away from you as you swing the bat. It's a high-velocity kind of a power slider, so there's not much of a change from the fastball. Here's a ball squirted to the right side. Jorman there to cover, and that's how the top of the first will come to an end. One hit, one left on for Bridgewater to Zach Potts K's, and then a ground ball to Josh Jorman will end it. Lynchburg coming to bat in their half of the first, up next on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network.
Being a part of the different activities and organizations that I've been a part of, I'm actually able to see myself where I'm like, hey, I actually can make a change. I'm one person that can make a difference.
Division III has helped me to develop teamwork skills, critical thinking skills, time management skills.
It's not just about basketball, or it's not just about school. It's about developing yourself as a person altogether.
It'll be Reed Long on the mound for Bridgewater, the reigning ODAC pitcher of the year. He had an outstanding season last year, Evan. It was just a monster year, 11-2, 67 strikeouts. He was the ODAC pitcher of the year. And this season, the numbers not quite as good for Reed Long, but there's a reason why you're giving him the ball in game one. You know he's still got it in there. Even if this year's been a little bit rocky, he's one of those guys that's capable of finding that A game, finding that vintage stuff at any time. And if your coach spots, you hope he finds it right now against Lynchburg.
Well, Kyle, sometimes experience can outweigh performance. And for Long, when he's been first team All-Region before, he understands that in big games like this, how to really maintain your composure, that's something that's important. And having 12 starts on the season, Coach Spots clearly still has faith that he can come out and deliver those solid outings.
Brandon Garcia is the leadoff man for Lynchburg, playing shortstop. Josh Jorman will hit second, playing first base. The All-American Avery Neves batting third in left field. Benny Bombs, Ben Jones will clean up, playing second base. Eric Hyatt is the designated hitter today for Lynchburg. In the 5-hole, Gavin Collins will hit sixth and play third base. Jackson Harding in right field hitting seventh. Holden Fiedler, the catcher, bats eighth. And the 9-hole hitter is Carson Atkins, the center fielder. At bat already underway here for Brandon Garcia, swinging an outstanding stick this season. He has a 21-game hitting streak, and he is just a freshman.
He seems to be comfortable every single time he gets in the box, and we've touched on that the entire season, but to get a hit in 21 straight games, there's so many different ways you can do it. It's not just going to come from power or beating out throws, so he has clearly learned how to get on base, and for Lynchburg, having him in that leadoff spot really sets the table for Jorman and Neves batting second and third.
Hitters count here for Brandon Garcia as he watched a two-seam fastball tail away. Probably a green light situation. Yeah, you saw it right there as Garcia went after that. Foul ball in catchable range for the third baseman, Jeffrey Snyder, and he does pull it in. So out number one in the books. Josh Jorman, another left-hander, will hit. Back to that depth for Lynchburg offensively, Evan. They've got lefties and righties they can send up there. And I think you're anticipating Reed Long taking the ball in game one here for Bridgewater, so you can kind of build your lineup around that. Plus, you got some guys that have faced him, have seen him, so that's nice to be able to go into that file as well and say, well, who's had some good at-bats against him? Who's gotten hits against Reed Long? All those things in play when you get into tournament time.
That's why you keep stats throughout the season, and like you mentioned, having some variation between righties and lefties is always going to be a good thing, because seeing the ball coming inside a little bit, obviously that's going to grant you some better contact. But throughout the season, as we mentioned, with having conference opponents, playing them earlier, you really have to trust how you did early in the season and just make sure you can replicate it.
Jorman will get good metal on this one. Oh, and the right fielder broke in and misplayed it. Hunter Clever thought that ball was sinking. It was rising. Turning around second base and heading into third for the triple is Josh Jorman. Throw a little bit wild, but Jorman can't go anywhere. Dugout is pumped. How about that? Kind of one-handed it. You can't really blame Clever for the misplay, because it didn't look like Jorman got a lot of it, but the ball just kept rising. It had enough backspin that it ends up getting over Clever's head for a triple.
Maybe early in the season with colder weather, that one doesn't carry as much, but good work from Jorman to just start running, and obviously when it gets over his head, it's all go. And now with the runner on third, you have the All-American at the plate.
Avery Neves can be an RBI machine. 40 runners driven in this season in his career. It is 174. He is second all-time in Lynchburg in that stat. He'll turn on that one and send it foul. 1-1 count with one out for Avery Neves. Lynchburg in the home white top today with the white pants. Bridgewater in their road jerseys. The Eagles come into the game at 16-24. They actually have won 3 out of their last 4, though, Evan. 5 wins after April 2nd for Bridgewater. So not playing bad baseball here late in the season. But it can't be one of those banana peel games for Lynchburg. You can't let yourself get tripped up if you're the #1 seed. Yeah, it's best 2 out of 3, but you want to come out here early. Neves got all of that one into the trees for the All-American Avery Neves. Bang on number 30. That was a shot and a no-doubter. 6th home run of the season for Neves, and it's a 2-0 lead. Lynchburg switched on and ready to go early here against the Eagles.
Well, the best athletes deliver in crunch time, and there was absolutely no doubt about it. Avery Neves continuing to contribute. And you talk about energy and Lynchburg getting out hot. This is the start the Hornets wanted, and they're going to continue to deliver.
Career home run number 32 for Avery Neves. All-time leader in that category at the University of Lynchburg. Speaking of homer guys, Ben Jones, number 21, steps in the batter's box, takes strike 1. Great spot to be right here if you're Ben Jones. You know you got the pitcher on the ropes a little bit. Good time to maybe go all in with a big hack. But it is an 0-2 count quickly, so that strategy might change now for the freshman Ben Jones. Lynchburg leading 2-0, triple from Josh Jorman, homer from Avery Neves. There is 1 out in the bottom of the first. Foul ball flared over the Lynchburg dugout. 11th homer Reed Long has given up this season, Evan, and I think that's been a big difference for Long. Last year, he got weak contact, he got ground balls. This season, seems like teams are getting more balls elevated on him. Doubles and homers have been the result. Got that ball in a good spot on Ben Jones, right off the knuckles. Long will take the pop-up himself for out number 2.
Well, this is a conference, too, that has so much power. Obviously, teams like Shenandoah, Randolph-Macon, Lynchburg here who have found success from a hitting standpoint. But when you're playing these teams over and over, you have double headers. There's always going to be a little bit of contact. But I think for Long, in a game like this, you'd rather maybe miss on a pitch that's getting outside than keep it in the zone. And for Bridgewater, you want to limit the amount of loud cracks that Lynchburg has today.
They talk about golf being a game of misses. How good are your misses? Pitching is a lot like that as well, because you're not always going to hit your spot, but if you do make the right miss, to your point, keep the ball out or get the ball in like Reed Long did on that last pitch to Ben Jones. That really is the mark of a good pitcher, and you'll hear that one yelled out from the dugout by pitching coaches and other players. They'll yell out good miss when a guy throws a ball off the plate. Hyatt lifts this one. Tough play here, but it is hauled in by Isaac Sumter, the shortstop for Bridgewater. Lynchburg strikes first, 2 hits, the 1 big fly from Avery Neves. It's a 2-0 Lynchburg lead heading to the second inning.
Great moments are born from great opportunity. That's what you have here tonight. That's what you've earned here tonight. This is your time. Now go out there and take it.
Lynchburg leads 2-0. It was a triple from Josh Jorman that really got the energy high in the dugout, Evan, and then the bomb, the absolute bomb from Avery Neves over the left field wall. That got everybody into a frenzy. We said fast start was going to be key. I think Lynchburg's checked that box, at least initially anyway.
Absolutely, and you're going to have hits like that spike the energy. If you remember in Game 2 against Guilford, it was a Gavin Collins 3-run triple that tied that one up, and so early in the season, maybe you're seeing more singles going around the bases a little bit more, but Lynchburg, the extra base hits have certainly started to come in great fashion, and the Hornets are capitalizing.
You got all the stats you like there if you're a coach. You got 2 extra base hits, and you don't leave anybody on base either. So statistically, it looks like a really good inning. It was a really good inning for Lynchburg, no doubt about that. 2-0 the lead. Zach Potts, fastball just off the edge there. Gotta like what you're seeing from Zach Potts. Now, let's see if the Eagles can respond. Good teams do find a way to respond to those big innings. See if Bridgewater can do that. Lucas Bauer is the center fielder in the batter's box right now for Bridgewater, working with a 2-2 count.
It's important to have a sense of urgency, too, because, yes, it's the second inning, and Lynchburg is just up 2-0, but you don't have much time in an ODAC tournament, especially when it's best 2 out of 3.
Yeah, I think you're right. Make the most of all those opportunities if you can. You really have to treat everything like it is the bottom of the ninth, don't you, at this point in the season? All players are different. Maybe some guys can't think that way. Maybe they got to treat it like it's game 1 of the season. Nice walk taken there by Lucas Bauer. He laid off some tough pitches. First free pass issued by Zach Potts, a guy who pitches with great control and typically does not walk many. So tip of the cap to Bauer there for letting a couple nasty ones go by, and Bridgewater has the leadoff man in back-to-back innings on base.
It's a good way to get things started, and here comes the bunt. See if Potts can get to it. He will not. Fumbled it, and so now Bridgewater has 2 on to start the second.
We have touched on Zach Potts' fielding prowess a couple times this season. He had that incredible stat line up at Shenandoah where he was off the mound playing defense pretty much the entire game, but this time he's unable to handle the sacrifice bunt from Isaac Sumter. And there's runners on first and second for Bridgewater. Jeffrey Snyder, the third baseman, left-handed hitter in. You feel like it's probably sack bunt time again. I mean, if Coach Spots put it on there with just a man on first, I don't know why you wouldn't do it. Runners on first and second with nobody out. And Snyder, right on cue, does show bunt and pull it back on a fastball inside.
Saw before the game, getting some reps in, the Eagles were laying down bunts, and it's always so important because the fundamentals at this point of the season are just that much more important. And so, obviously, in a situation like this, just having that option available, and then later in the game, if you need to, you can try and crack one out.
Holden Fiedler's going to go take a chat with Zach Potts. It is already a wonderful day here. It's a big day for Hornet sports teams. Lacrosse is playing in an ODAC championship against Washington and Lee. 5 p.m. start time. The Lynchburg softball team has already gotten 1 win in the ODAC tournament. So they got that going on for themselves. It's an emotional time, too, Evan. You're wrapping up the school year. There's a lot of, I don't want to say stress, but maybe it is stress with the finals and those things. You got to wrap up, and you got the emotions of people leaving, some folks you may not see again or got to keep in touch with, like our production staff here, who we're just thinking about what are we going to do without them all summer long, Evan, as Zach Potts misses the zone again, and now it's a 3-0 count for Jeffrey Snyder.
Well, Kyle, it's been such an outstanding spring sports season all around, and I think just having as many sports playing at the same time as ODAC teams do, it's pretty special.
And I think it as Zach Potts issues another walk. Second of the inning, second of the game. And not to keep the point too drawn out, but I think when you see other teams being successful on campus, it can't hurt your energy from a standpoint. And I mean that the baseball guys can't go out and score the lacrosse goal for the lacrosse team and vice versa. But when everybody's successful, I think it kind of gives you that energy and that winning vibe. And I think it just, maybe the standard is set and you try to live up to that standard, and everybody else tries to live up to it team-wise and individual-wise. And then you start trying to beat the standard a little bit and perform even better.
Well, with lacrosse and an ODAC championship later, you have to think this baseball team would like to make a similar run here in this tournament.
Zach Potts has missed the zone 6 pitches in a row. It's a 2-0 count on Nick Stavros, the second baseman for Bridgewater. Potts is trying to find it here. I said he looked great early, and he did, but it's amazing how when you're a pitcher, it can just sort of evaporate on you quickly. Not that the pitches have been terrible for Zach Potts. Case in point, that one, Evan, did not miss the zone by much, but it's a 3-0 count, 7 balls in a row.
Well, Stavros, a 379 batting average and 29 at-bats this season, so in the reps he's had, he has found success, and he's going to walk in a run.
Wow. 3 walks for Zach Potts. Typically a guy who does not issue 3 walks in a game, but he's given 3 free passes in this inning. Again, there was some pitches really, really close there, but Potts not getting the call, and it is a run across. It is a 2-1 ball game. That is an RBI walk for Nick Stavros. The catcher, Jonathan Sexton, due to hit next after a conversation from associate head coach Travis Beasley.
Well, Bridgewater this season has had 284 strikeouts at the plate compared to Lynchburg's 229. So the plate discipline they're showing in this one has certainly improved. And obviously at this point of the season where you've had lots of at-bats, lots of game situations, maybe you start to tune things up a bit. And I think the Eagles so far are doing a great job of just continuing to produce.
I thought it was a disciplined at bat from Stavros, because your scouting report coming in for Zach Potts is going to be, hey, he's around the zone. He doesn't walk many hitters. So you lay off some tight ones. Think back to the original walk, the leadoff man, Lucas Bauer. I thought he really did nicely to not pull the trigger on a couple pitches that were very close. So give credit to Bridgewater for working the eyeballs in the box there and the pitch recognition and pitch selection. Believe it or not, 8 balls in a row for Zach Potts. That one across the plate for a strike. He needed that. Confidence, if nothing else. And it's an 0-1 start on Jonathan Sexton.
Well-timed mound visit from associate head coach Travis Beasley, and I think the entire season that's something that Lynchburg coaching staff has done a great job of, is just timing those visits. Obviously with Potts on the mound, he's been through this before, so he understands what he needs to do, but those conversations never hurt.
Yeah, it's one of those deals where Potts probably knows what Bees is going to say as he's walking out there. But you're right. It's nice to reassure a guy. A couple reminders in there. Give him a little breather. Give him a short little halftime. 2-1 count. That one missed inside on Sexton. Zach Potts' numbers against Bridgewater have historically been pretty good. He did get a win against the Eagles in that opening weekend doubleheader. Double play chance coming right here. Jones flips to Garcia for 1. They get the second one. Run will come across, but it's 2 for the price of 1 for the Lynchburg infield. They have been very proficient turning double plays. They're actually pretty high up in the country in that stat for double plays, Evan. They needed that one there, 4-6-3, but it is a 2-2 ball game now as Isaac Sumter scores the second run of the game for Bridgewater. Leadoff man Biesecker's back. He's got a hit already. He's going to have another one. Brandon Garcia tried to climb the ladder and go for the superhero move catch, but couldn't pull it in. Biesecker's 2 for 2. Bridgewater has their first lead of the day, 3-2.
Biesecker didn't want to wait on that one, and that's what leadoff hitters do. No matter what situation you're at in the ball game, they come up and make sure they deliver at the plate.
255 career hits now for Jarrett Biesecker. It's going to end up being second all-time in the ODAC conference. He's been playing for 5 years. COVID season in there is part of the reason why. But congrats to Biesecker for a great career. Oh, bunt attempt from Tharp. That was dangerous. He really had to bunt that one, or it was going to hit him in a bad spot. It's just strike one. Zach Potts seems to have found the zone again, Evan. But a great hitting plan by Biesecker. You know he struggled to throw strikes a little bit. He wants to get strike one across. So you go hunting for something. And Biesecker with great bat control. I mean, it's really a marvel when you look at those numbers that he has put up in his career. He led the league in hitting back in 2019. He's been playing that long.
And in that season, that was 11th in Bridgewater history for batting average. And so we mention all the stats and how sometimes the COVID season might inflate those numbers a bit, but to do it in one season is so impressive.
Yeah, he's had some great single seasons for sure. 0-2 count. Good pitch from Zach Potts. I think that was where he wanted it. Doesn't like the term waste pitch. That was the old school thing that coaches would say. Get a waste pitch right here. It's more of a setup pitch for Lynchburg. And Zach Potts going back inside. Oh, that hit him. That hit Tharp. He's got the arm guard on there. Oh, they're going to say foul ball. Umpire's coming out to say foul ball. Called it pretty quickly. Tharp is pleading his case down at first base. Now Coach Spots will make his way over there. It's a two-seam fastball that ran in on Tharp. From our perspective, Evan, we're going to have no clue from behind the catcher and the batters whether it hit him or not, or whether it hit the bat. It's a tough call there for an umpire, and now the umpires are going to get together. 3 heads are better than 1 in this situation. I like this.
That's obviously a decision that comes down to the man behind the plate calling the balls and strikes, but in a situation like that, if you're Tharp, maybe try to sell it a little bit, but ultimately it's going to come down to what the umpires decide. I've seen a lot of those this season, and that's just baseball, but those inside pitches, some can be scary, some might hit the bat in an interesting spot, and that's just the game, the rules, and obviously if you swing or if it hits a certain part of the bat, it's still going to be a foul ball.
Second and third opinions seem to agree with what the home plate umpire thought. Now Coach Spots is going to plead his case here as he stands and continues the conversation with the umpire. It'll be a 1-2 count, just a foul ball. And that is the thing about those arm guards, Evan. They do protect the elbow, but that sound is so similar to a ball that hits the knob of the bat, that hits the end of the bat. So that can be tough. A lot of times you can hear the difference when it hits skin. But with that arm guard, a lot of times that will sound like the knob of the bat. Coach Spots is unhappy, and we'll leave it at that as play gets ready to restart here. Bridgewater with a 3-2 lead, 2 gone in the top of the second inning.
Obviously, Tharp might not like it having to take another pitch, but you at least get another chance to maybe get contact on one.
Silver lining to every cloud, I suppose. Oh, that one's going to get by Holden Fiedler. He didn't see it. Biesecker is dangerous around second, but he will tap the brakes and return to the bag. Just a ball. One that gets by Holden Fiedler. Now a runner in scoring position. Speed in scoring position for Bridgewater. They already lead 3-2. We said fast start for Lynchburg. I think Bridgewater's checking the fast start box now with 3 in the top of the second. Big pitch coming from Potts. 2-2, 2 gone. Back inside, got it there. Jam shot. Jones coming on. Slight misplay. Shuffles to first, and they got him. Good job by Ben Jones to stay with it right there on what was a pretty tough ball to handle. It ends up being a very good inning for Bridgewater. Just 1 hit, but they score 3, leave 1 on. 1 Lynchburg error. We're through 1.5 at Fox Field.
Every great college has a great city. For Lynchburg, we are near urban areas with lots of restaurants, shopping, and events. Plus, we are one of the top schools in the area. Come see for yourself.
(3-2) here at Fox Field, University of Lynchburg. Kyle and Evan hanging out with you. The crew is incredible up here as always. Great vibes in the press box. Good crowd outside, Evan. These Bridgewater fans have traveled well. Lynchburg has had great support all season long. Gavin Collins, the third baseman, will lead off and take strike one.
We've seen lots of great showings throughout the season from fans of opposing teams. That doubleheader last weekend against Guilford, they brought a big crowd, and early in the game, it was definitely a loud atmosphere here at Fox Field.
Sure was. That was one of the best traveling parties that we have seen all season from Guilford, who looks like Guilford had a lead against Shenandoah. They started that game at 1 p.m. up there in Winchester. Shenandoah, the 2 seed, Guilford, the 7. The other games in this opening weekend, Evan, it's Roanoke, the 3 seed, hosting Washington and Lee. Randolph-Macon is the 4 seed, hosting Hampton-Sydney. 2-1 count on Gavin Collins. We'll maybe try to get some scores from those games as the weekend goes on. I think everybody's doing the 1 today and then 2 tomorrow. I think that's the format. And I say 2 tomorrow. It's if necessary, of course. It's best 2 out of 3. Collins will dodge that one. It was going to be ball 4 anyway. So he is aboard with the walk. First one issued by Reed Long. And here comes Jackson Harding.
Back to your point about the format, the thing I love about tournament time is no one's safe, because these are 4 matchups that we've seen throughout the season, but you can't really rely on what happened early on. It's baseball, and every single day you have to come out and play.
And these teams met in early March. It was back on, I think, March 11th, these 2 ball clubs met for a doubleheader. So you got to think, I mean, everybody's so different now after basically 2 months, 6 or 7, 8 weeks ago. Each team has gone through some ups and downs, mainly ups for Lynchburg. I mean, let's be honest, they're 33-5, undefeated at home at 20-0. They are the 4th-ranked team in the country, and they are the number 1 seed in this ODAC tournament. But even Lynchburg's had to go through some rocky stuff, Evan. A few games, maybe they didn't perform the way they wanted to, maybe individuals not having the last month like they've wanted it to be. So it's all part of the deal in a long baseball season that starts back in February.
And obviously managing injuries is part of the game as well. We remember Brandon Garcia in the middle of this hit streak missed a few games, obviously Matt Field from a pitching standpoint. And so if you're the coaching staff, you have to find the best options, and I think the Hornets have done a great job of just having that next man up mentality.
So important, that depth that Lynchburg has, and they've gotten fortunate. There's some maybe quote unquote luck in there, I guess, because it seemed like when Matfield went down, that's when Lynchburg got pawned back. Oh, that ball took a weird bounce and got over Isaac Sumter. Good base running by Gavin Collins to turn and get to third base there. Sumter was setting up the double play ball. And that last hop on the grass, or the first one on the dirt, you've talked about that a lot actually, Evan, takes that spin, and sometimes it can jump up on you, and that time Sumter was not able to get it.
Well, no 2 balls coming off the bat are going to quite look the same, and fortunate for the Hornets now with runners on the corners and no outs, but Holden Fiedler, one of the veterans in this lineup, someone you definitely want to have at the plate, someone who's been in this type of environment. We'll see what he can do.
Holden Fiedler is a grad student entering the game, hitting .310 this season. And a shout out to our great friend and big Lynchburg fan, Scott Fiedler, Holden's dad, unable to make it to the game today, but we know he's watching. We know he's excited. I think he's got the crowd around him excited about Lynchburg baseball as well. So shout out to Scott Fiedler. And let's see what Holden Fiedler can do. It's a 3-2 Bridgewater lead. Lynchburg trailing at the moment in the bottom of the 2nd. Long hold from Long. Now the pitch just off the plate. 1-1 count.
Thought that was a good pitch, as we touched on earlier. You don't want to leave anything in the zone, especially against a guy like Fiedler who's going to have some power.
Fiedler had a pretty good weekend against Guilford last weekend. I think he's been swinging a good bat all year. The numbers would back that up. 2-1 count as Fiedler watches another one go out of the zone. First and third, it's Gavin Collins at third. Leadoff walk, and then what was ruled a single for Jackson Harding at first base. Could be a running situation here. Harding stays put. Fiedler swings through an off-speed pitch, 2-2 with nobody out.
Lots of times this year we've seen the runner from first go and then the runner from third try to score right off the throw. We know that Gavin Collins is proficient in running around the bases.
Yeah, Bridgewater's gonna have a play in there with how to defend that early in the game. Could be you just try to throw out Jackson Harding at second. You trade the run for the out, but we'll see if that ends up happening or not. One knee down set up for Sexton, who is a very good catcher. Liked what he did the first time these two teams met. Believe he caught both games of the doubleheader. First time Bridgewater and Lynchburg played, which is never easy to do. Full count on Lynchburg's catcher, Holden Fiedler. Big pitch coming from Reed Long. Another throw over to Jackson Harding at first base, who's back on the dive. Reed Long is a Chesapeake native. He threw 4 1/3 innings on Monday against Hampton City. Only allowed 1 hit, no earned runs. Fabulous stuff for Bridgewater in their double dip on Monday against Hampton City. Fiedler will swing on that down the right field line, but it's foul beyond the Bridgewater bullpen. I was talking about those exam times and everything, Evan. Bridgewater actually played on Monday against Hampton City because they had their graduation over the weekend, so they wanted to push it back so everybody could attend that, and everything going on campus just made it tough to host a game. Good walk from Holden Fiedler. Fouled off a pitch, keeps the inning going. Still nobody out for Lynchburg with a dangerous hitter stepping in, Carson Atkins, the center fielder.
Bridgewater, that Monday doubleheader that they had, they were also hosting the Outdoor Track and Field Championships for the ODAC, so
right.
Lots of action around their campus.
Did you go up for that one?
I sure did.
That's right. That's right.
The Hornets.
Yeah,
winning
another
title.
championship. Back to successful teams as Atkins takes a breaking ball for a strike. Yeah, I mean, it's just incredible what Lynchburg has done this season, specifically in the spring season. The other seasons were good too, but you know, we're just kind of limited on how much I guess we can talk about whatever we want in the broadcast, but we probably should talk about baseball, right?
Well, we try our best.
Yeah.
We got the game in front of us.
Right. 0-2 count pretty quickly on Carson Atkins. Dugout, everybody on the fence making noise. Away target here for Long. Got it there. There's one of those good misses. I think he wanted it on the batter's box line, and it ended up being a little further out than that, but it's a 1-2 count on Carson Atkins.
Atkins phenomenal this season in the 9-hole, batting .309. Obviously, in a position like that, what you've touched on this season, sort of the new school way of doing things, putting someone in that 9-hole that can really turn things over to the leadoff hitter. And with the bases loaded, you'd love to have Atkins at the plate.
Second on the team and runs batted in with 30. No RBI this time as it's a soft liner to third base, snared by Jeffrey Snyder. Good play to catch and then look around to see if he could get a second out. Lynchburg's base running up to the task. They got back in time, everybody. Harding was probably the most likely candidate, but he read it well off the bat and scampered back and slid into second base. So there's one out for Brandon Garcia. His second at bat, popped up to the third baseman in foul ground. First trip to the plate.
For Bridgewater, that might have been a best-case scenario because it's not far enough, obviously, for a tag situation, but now try to get another one, a pop-up or a strikeout.
1-0 count for Brandon Garcia, who put on an absolute show for us last weekend. A couple doubles where he broke out a new signature celebration at second base, and then he had a highlight reel catch, diving up the middle and getting to his feet and scrambling to throw across. That was fun stuff, Evan.
That might be play of the season. I'm gonna at least have to put in a word for that.
Yeah, it's on the short list. Finalist. It's a finalist for play of the season. You're right. 3-1 count on Brandon Garcia. The freshman from Durham, one half of the Caped Crusader duo, the Batman and Robin duo with his buddy Ben Jones. Garcia will swing on that one. Got under it. Let's see if it's deep enough for a sack fly situation. Collins is tagging out of the starting gate, and he'll slide in safely. Good speed from Gavin Collins. Nice job by Brandon Garcia to know the situation and get the job done with a sack fly. Tie game now, 3-3 between Lynchburg and Bridgewater. Harding moved up to third, and Fiedler had to stay put at first base. So it's runners at the corners now with 2 outs for Josh Jorman.
That is absolutely a hustle play from Collins, and you know that is going to be a catch, and the throw is going to come in quickly, so it's important just knowing where to slide, trying to get that hand in, but fortunately for Collins, he was able to get there early.
Kentucky Derby Day. Probably should have said, and they're off when he took off, and I should have said, and down the stretch they come. But we can still use that maybe. That down the stretch they come might be better for a guy trying to score on a base hit from second base because he's got to make that final turn, So that's reminiscent of the horse racing turn. We'll keep that one in mind. Can't use all the good stuff in 2 innings, We got to save something for later in the game. 3-3 ball game. It's exciting so far, Evan. Every game we do together I feel like it's got something unique and exciting about it.
And that's the ODAC.
True.
I feel like so many teams come out to play.
Jorman did not get all of this. Shortstop camped. Sumter will pull it in. And it is a successful inning for Lynchburg. Just 1 hit. They leave 2 on, but the Hornets tie it up. We're knotted at 3 going to the 3rd on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network.
To them, the whole world looks like an opportunity, one to be seized, built upon, and made better for their sport and the people around it. To student athletes, every opportunity is a chance to change what could be and show the world what opportunity can do.
A 3-3 ball game here at Fox Field, the campus of the University of Lynchburg. Zach Potts back on the bump to work for Lynchburg. I think he's hoping to smooth things out a little bit after a rocky inning, Evan. Bridgewater got 3 runs on just 1 hit. There were 3 walks in there. There was an error from Zach Potts in there on what was supposed to be a sacrifice bunt attempt. But that's all clean slate now as it's a 3-3 ball game. We're tied up again here at Fox Field.
What starts with the first batter you face? Obviously, leadoff batter got on both of those innings. He might have a chance to get Hartman out. Garcia, the throw to first, and he's going to get him.
He makes that look so easy, doesn't he?
Absolutely, and to get Hartman, someone who has had an average above 400 this entire season, that is a great sign for Zach Potts.
Yeah, soft contact there. Got him off the end of the bat. Great read by Brandon Garcia to come on, catch that, throw on the run. Jorman makes the grab at first base. There is 1 out. Here in the top of the 3rd inning, Hunter Clever, the right fielder, is up. He bounced out to Josh Jorman in his first at bat that ended the 1st inning. But it's Lynchburg and Bridgewater. Hornets come in as the 4th-ranked team in the nation, 33-5 this season. They were 19-3 in conference. Lynchburg's won 4 in a row. They've won 13 out of their last 14. And you can just take that back as far as you want to go. All those numbers are impressive this season for Lynchburg. You can take it back to the last couple of years, Evan. It's been back-to-back 36-win seasons 2 years ago and then last year. So 33 so far this year. Make it 3 straight seasons of 30-plus. There's soft contact, jam shot. Potts will bounce off, field the spot, toss over to first for the second out of the inning.
Well, I think the performances from the Hornets these past few seasons are really just a testament to the work that Coach Lucas Jones has poured into this program, because not only on this squad this year do we have talented freshmen and people who are finding new contributions, obviously Ben Jones, Brandon Garcia in that middle infield, but you also have veterans like Zach Potts on the mound. Mentioned Holden Fiedler, the battery mate early on, so it's a great mix for a Lynchburg squad that has continued to stay undefeated here at Fox Field.
It's impressive as this thought will get put on hold. Jackson Harding on to catch this line drive from Lucas Bauer. And the inning is over. 3 up, 3 down that time for Bridgewater. Zach Potts settling into things. Let's see if the Hornets can get him some more runs. We're tied at 3 through 2.5 at Fox Field.
Football has taught me a lot throughout my life. It's definitely had a huge imprint on who I am as a person. Competing at a Division III level created that opportunity for me to go to college. Not only was I the first one in my family to graduate college, but I was really the first one to even go. Being the first one, I'm breaking that cycle, and now that I've graduated, I'm not sure what's the next step, but I know I have a lot of doors open. And a lot of those are open because I played football and ran track here at Otterbein.
Think a private education is too expensive? Think again. At the University of Lynchburg, you can get a personalized education for the cost of a state school. If you're commuting and you get our top scholarships, you could pay much less. And you get all that without the hassle of giant lecture halls. Our faculty know your name here and do more than just teach. You might even do research together and plan out your next career moves.
Lynchburg Hornets coming to bat in the bottom of the third. It's a 3-3 ball game. We're so glad you're watching wherever you are, and you might be watching after the fact as well. We always say coming to you live, you know, that phrase, but a good chunk of people watch the game recorded after the fact, well, myself included.
Oh, same here, and I think that's just something that if you're coming to watch a baseball game and it's not live, that just shows not only the support, but that's pretty special to have the amount of fans that we have joining us right here on LHS.
Well, assistant coach for Bridgewater, Taylor Davis, he gave us a great compliment. He said, yeah, I mean, you know, been watching all the games to scout and get ready. And he really did say, I've pretty much watched every game that Lynchburg has had. And he said, I love listening to you guys. I love the production. It's great. It's fun to watch. It's not so fun to scout this team, but yeah, Taylor Davis gave us some good insight into pregame there. He played his college baseball at Ferrum, but now an assistant coach for Bridgewater. We were talking about a lot of the same guys that we knew. Direct your attention back to this man, Avery Neves, the All-American, is 1 for 1 with a 2-run homer in this game. I think he's sporting some new white cleats today. I think he's been wearing black cleats for most of the season. I could be off base with that observation. We're going to double check. That's where we use our phrase, as Neves will swing on this 2-strike delivery. Didn't get enough of this one. Should be a routine fly ball to right. But that's where we'll get the LHSN research department to find out the shoe breakdown for Avery Neves this season. I think this is the first day that he has worn the white cleats.
Well, it worked in his first at-bat.
Sure did.
Turned on one.
Yeah. Ben Jones, number 21, steps in. 0 for 1. Pop out to the pitcher in his first at-bat.
Had a 9-game hit streak broken in Game 2 against Guilford, so obviously he has continued to keep his bat on fire, and I think it's at the right time of the season as well.
Yeah, I got some great numbers on Ben Jones. The research department is active already to get his what he's done lately. Last 5 games for Ben Jones, it's 9 for 17 with 10 RBI. 3 doubles and 2 home runs. That's all in the last 5 games for Benny Bombs. He'll take that one inside for ball 2, 2-1 count. And if you take that back to 10 games, Evan, it's 17 for 35. So just under 500 there in the last 10-game stretch for Ben Jones. Long missed that one out of the hand, just didn't get the release. That was upstairs for ball 3.
On the front half of that Guilford doubleheader, too, he was a base away from the cycle, and he probably could have had third if he wanted it.
We talked about that. Yeah, that was the debate we had going on in the press boxes. Could Ben Jones have continued to third to try to get the triple for the cycle? You and I both said unselfish play to not risk the out, to just stay at second base. That was the consensus that you and I had. Sounds like the consensus up here is that he should have gone to third. Walk there as that one gets under the catcher, Sexton, but no chance for Jones to advance to second. So it's just a walk, and Jones is on board with one out in the bottom of the third inning. Tie ball game, 3-3.
You know, I think in a game that was as tight as that one, it was probably a safe move to stay at second. But
yeah, even though everybody wanted him to go for the cycle.
Absolutely.
I can tell you that sometimes as a player, you don't know that you need the triple for the cycle. And I'm telling you that from experience, not to brag, but because I didn't know one time. And everybody was like, you should have kept going to third. You just needed the triple for the cycle. And I had no idea. I'm telling you, Evan, I had no idea. I was probably still in shock from actually hitting the home run, was what it was. It was what it was, that when I came up in the next at-bat, I had no idea that I needed a triple for the cycle. That could have been the case with Ben Jones. Who knows? It's a 1-1 count on Eric Hyatt. Or the factor that we talked about, tight ball game, don't risk going to third. You're already in scoring position. So there's a lot of factors there. It's fun to think about, though.
There's never such a thing as a perfect cycle. There's always something that's going to happen, even if you get it.
Right. Eric Hyatt's got a 3-1 count. We got our answer about Avery Neves' shoes. He wore black shoes last weekend for the doubleheader against Guilford. We think these cleats are new. He's already got a home run in the white cleats, so early indications are it's a yes. I think it's a yes from a fashion standpoint, too. I like the look. 3-1 count for Eric Hyatt. That was close as well, and that's ball 4. Back-to-back walks. Fourth one issued for Reed Long.
Great work from Jones and Hyatt as well, just to stay patient, because when Neves flies out for out number 1 in the inning, you're thinking, okay, we still have people who can come out and produce, but it might not be as loud contact. I say that Ben Jones and Eric Hyatt are continuing to hit it out of the park this season, but now you have 2 on with 1 out, and a great situation for the Hornets.
I think Reed Long staying in. I believe this is just a mound visit here. Entire infield is in on this one, but it is back-to-back walks for Long. He's given 4 free passes so far in this game. Think back to Zach Potts, 3 walks in the inning. Early indications to me are, Evan, that the zone is maybe a little bit tighter than guys are accustomed to, and that's part of being a good player, hitter, or pitcher, is adjusting to that umpire's strike zone. You're okay if it's big. You're okay if it's small. Consistency is what you're looking for there, and that's pretty much what everybody will tell you. I think our umpires have been outstanding all season. I think they probably don't get enough credit for what they do. It's not an easy job, so I think it'll be up to the teams to adjust to those zones a little bit more.
Well, it's not the fancy stuff, too, that pops out. You see score lines. You have headlines like Lynchburg staying undefeated. Maybe it stays at the back of your mind, but like you said, it's the things like that that continue to drive the ball games, and like you said, I think our umpires have done a great job here at Fox Field.
That's one where your catcher, in this case Holden Fiedler for Lynchburg, can actually give you a little insight even after that first inning and go out there and tell you something. Bouncing ball from Gavin Collins. Only going to be able to get 1, but it was a really good play by the shortstop Sumter to come on and sidearm one over to first base for the second out of the inning. So it's 6-3. Now there's 2 in scoring position for Jackson Harding to try to get Lynchburg the lead back.
With that ground ball, it moves both runners up 90 feet. So now if you get a base hit, you have a chance for 2 runs and to take that lead again.
Eric Hyatt is at second. Oh, line drive from Jackson Harding. Fires that one through the middle. Jones will score. No throw on Hyatt. How about the key man from Keysville with a big knock. First pitch to drive it into center field past the pitcher.
That was great contact, and like you said, first pitch, Harding liked what he saw. It's a time like that where you have 3 innings, and 3 innings where the Hornets have been able to score talk about getting out early. This is a great sight for Lynchburg.
Lynchburg has 4 hits as a team. Jackson Harding has 2 of them. He's also got 2 RBI. Avery Neves has the other 2 runners driven in. That was on the 2-run homer. So pretty good star power there for Lynchburg, and the inning continues. Jackson Harding on first for Holden Fiedler. It was in the middle of giving the comment about the umpire zone. That's where your catcher, Holden Fiedler, can give the team a little knowledge there as far as what the umpire is calling, and Sexton would be the same way for Bridgewater. That's a really valuable thing, and it's a subtle thing. I'm not saying you win an extra 10 games a year because of that, Evan, but it's just the things that high-level teams do, and I think Lynchburg is definitely in that category.
I think you hit the nail on the head because that's what separates good from great.
Fiedler under this one. Scramble and some little bit of miscommunication in center field as both guys called for it. It ended up being Hunter Clever, the right fielder, and Lucas Bauer, the center fielder, combining in the gap there. But the out is made. The inning is over. Lynchburg has snatched the lead back 5-3. Hornets on top after 3 complete at Fox Field.
Sumter, Snyder, Stavros will be due up for the Eagles here in the top of the 4th. Zach Potts is still on the mound. We've got a great ball game on our hands. 5-3 scoreline in favor of the Hornets.
Yeah, Evan, now you get to take over the play-by-play, so I'm in the analyst role, so I can talk about my playing days. It's interesting. I don't like to talk about my playing days a little bit. Well, I could. I don't know. I don't like to make it about me. But I have said that what a lot of people don't know is Coach Lucas Jones, the head coach for Lynchburg, and myself used to play against each other in high school and spring rec ball and fall ball, and we played against each other in college too. So there could be some insight there. Hold that thought, though.
Collins with the throw over to first. Did Jorman stay on the base? Yes, he did. Acrobatic play to begin the top of the 4th.
My goodness. Great bunt, first off, by Sumter. Good charge and throw from Gavin Collins. And then the best play of them all was Josh Jorman holding on to the bag there, Evan. My goodness.
They make it look a lot easier than it actually is, and obviously you have to pull some tricks out of your pocket every now and then.
But yeah, let me give you the scouting report on Lucas Jones as a player rather than anything about me. Let's talk about that. Keep seeing plays like that one from Gavin Collins and Josh Jorman. We won't have any time to talk about anything else.
They make our job a little difficult sometimes.
Right.
For good reasons.
Right.
Up at the plate, it's Jeffrey Snyder. Got a walk in the 2nd inning. Lynchburg out hitting the Eagles 4-2. They got a 5-3 lead. Scoring has been pretty active early on, and if this one will get foul, if it stayed fair, it was gone.
That was halfway down to the lake, Evan. That was a nice cut from Jeffrey Snyder, but he seemed to know that it was going to keep arcing foul. Didn't really get too far out of the batter's box.
He's got a swing on that one for strike 3, so quickly 2 down for the Eagles. For Potts, that will be strikeout number 3 on the day, and it will bring up Nick Stavros here in the 8 hole. Also walked in the 2nd. It's the second inning where the Eagles scored all 3 of their runs. It's one of those ball games, and obviously it's baseball, so every single game is going to be a little different, but contrasting with that playing style for Lynchburg, where we've seen lots of runs in the middle innings, able to get 5 on the board through 3.
Fast starts, important. We've been talking about them. You know, the coaches talk about them as well. I mean, I think every coach is saying, "Hey guys, let's get out. Let's swing the bats early, et cetera, et cetera." It doesn't always happen, but it's nice when it does happen. I think it gives you some confidence, and it also, you start thinking about, hey, we got 5 in 3 innings. Maybe we can keep that going. Maybe this is the game we score 15, 16, 20. Those kinds of things start popping into your head.
Seen a few high-scoring affairs throughout the ODAC this season. Lynchburg, a squad that is very capable of putting double digits up on the scoreboard. 2 sides to the game, and the one for the Hornets that has really been spoken about nationally is the pitching staff. Obviously an ERA that has really stayed in the top 10 throughout the season, and then you have a closer in Jack Batchmore, who is 4th in the nation. It's going to be hit to Jones, thrown to first, inning over. So great work from Potts as he continues to produce. It's 3 up, 3 down for the Eagles. We'll be right back with you on LHSN. Welcome back on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network. Glad that you are joining us. Evan Gates, Kyle Haney, taking you through all the action of this ODAC quarterfinal series. It's game 1, and the Hornets are up 5-3 as Carson Atkins steps up to the plate. I want to go back to an earlier thought. Head coach Lucas Jones here at Lynchburg, 2021 and 2022 ODAC Coach of the Year, and obviously we know he is as humble as they get, but just the work that he has done for this program has been phenomenal. 2 straight NCAA tournament appearances, and an incredible player here on the campus of the University of Lynchburg.
Single season record with 77 hits. He was an ODAC Player of the Year as a player, and I've done the research, Evan. I was just trying to sound humble. But Lucas Jones is the only person to win ODAC Coach of the Year and ODAC Player of the Year.
Wow.
Win that award as a player and a coach, and he's been ODAC Coach of the Year 3 times. Now, somebody could still do that. If the Old Dominion Athletic Conference continues, somebody will come along and do that again, I would think.
You'd have to imagine, but
yeah.
It just illustrates not necessarily how difficult it is, because obviously it's hard to even get the role as a player and as a coach, but just the baseball IQ he has, and then just being able to continue it as a coach and allow other players to go out and have success. Something you don't see often.
Line drive there from Atkins for out number 1. Yeah, Coach Jones spent 2 years as the head coach at Washington and Lee before his stint at Lynchburg. Got a Coach of the Year award there. He was at Patrick Henry Community College for a few years, junior college level, but I think the wins count. It's over 270 wins at the college level for Coach Lucas Jones, who's still a young guy. He's my age, so I have to say he's still a young guy, right?
Absolutely. Well, I think it's so important, too, because for this program, really the entire coaching staff has just what they've done together, because we have individual contributions and you can share your IQ about the game, but as a collective, Hornets has been really good the last few years.
Well,
chance to get down, and it's going to stay up for out number 2, so Garcia will have to wait to extend that hit streak.
Well, that's a great point, and that's one thing that Coach Lucas Jones would say. You know, he can't do it without the assistant coaches, the great contributions, and the fact that they have stayed together. To your point, Associate Head Coach Travis Beasley, Oscar Garcia, Michael Solbach, Gabe Garcia, the Director of Baseball Analytics, Brady Moore. It's a great unit, and there's all of those guys, I think, have head coaching potential, and I think probably at some point will become head coaches. I mean, you never know, but I think that's in the future for some of those guys. So the fact that Coach Lucas Jones has been able to keep that group together coaching-wise has just been a big key. Could be a play here. Bounces into the Lynchburg batting cage.
From our angle, some of those foul balls are always a little difficult to get a gauge on. That was Snyder running over from third, unable to make the play. So 1 ball, 1 strike on number 25, Josh Jorman.
Oscar Garcia is the one you need to sit down and have a pizza with or something, because you would love talking baseball with him. Jorman will get this one up the middle.
And will stay through the middle. So Jorman will have a base hit and turn things over to the All-American Avery Neves. I 100% agree. I think Oscar Garcia, just talk about personality throughout this squad. He's one of those guys. He's so fun to talk with.
Yeah, and you hear up and down the lineup, everybody talking about OG. They call him OG. OG's the best. OG's the best. He brings so much to this team. And he brings that Latin flair that I love. He brings that multicultural element from Venezuela. He loves to talk about Venezuelan baseball, too. Neves swings on this one. Might stay in play.
That will stay foul. So 1 strike here on Neves. Garcia, one day just around campus, guy by the name of Jesus Luzardo, one of those Venezuelan baseball players right now, played in the World Baseball Classic, and had his jersey on, and Garcia was quick to stop me and compliment me. Something that always makes your day.
That is huge. Ooh, fair, foul? Umpires called it foul. It was very, very close. So it's just a strike for Avery Neves, as he'll have to drop back and try it again.
He's seeing the ball extremely well today from the small sample size we have. Obviously had the home run to get things started in the first inning. That was a 2-run shot that drove in Jorman. 0-2 count, 2 down, runner on first. Pitch close but outside, so we'll do it again. Great day for baseball. Kentucky Derby tonight. Obviously, spring sports still in conference tournaments. We're here at Fox Field for game 1. Another one misses upstairs.
I don't know if Sexton might have got crossed up there, Evan, because he kind of jumped out. I don't know if he thought perhaps Jorman was running, but didn't stay in there and frame that one.
It's always interesting seeing the battery hold that thought, as Neves will drive one into left for his second hit of the ball game. So the White Cleats still getting it done. He's 2 for 3. That's going to bring up Ben Jones.
You said seeing it well. I think you hit on something there with Avery Neves. He seems to really have a good look out of the hand from Reed Long. Maybe some of that is history, having faced a guy a bunch of times, and maybe some of it is just Avery Neves is turning it on at the right times. Good players seem to do that.
Well, and that's the same with conference play, just seeing players a little bit more often. Jones is going to hit one here to the outfield. Shortstop has it, and that's out number 3. So the Lynchburg Hornets will leave 2 on. They're still up 5-3. Here as we head to the 5th inning from Fox Field on LHSN.
part of the different activities and organizations that I've been a part of, I'm actually able to see myself where I'm like, hey, I actually can make a change. I'm one person that can make a difference.
Division III has helped me to develop teamwork skills, critical thinking skills, time management skills.
It's not just about basketball, or it's not just about school, it's about developing yourself as a person altogether.
It's been 2 quick innings on the mound for Zach Potts, and he's back out for the top of the 5th in this one. So riding the ship a little bit after that Guilford outing, and we know he's been really good this season, 9 wins. And another conversation here where you're in the running for NCAA recognition. He's done a phenomenal job. Garcia's going to have it. He's going to have a really long throw. He was on his back foot. Jorman lets that one pass, but Sexton will be on. So beats out the throw, and it will be a leadoff single for the Eagles. First hit since that second inning, and turns things over to Jarrett Biesecker.
Yeah, Potts had set down 7 in a row, so clearly he has smoothed that's hard to say. Try it again. Smooth things out. I still probably didn't get it right. Potts is pitching better. We'll go with that.
He's doing really good.
But now he's got to face the dangerous Biesecker, who's 2 for 2.
Biesecker, one of 3 Eagles who have started every game this year. The other 2 being Hunter Clever and Brandon Hartman. So he showed bunt. See if he does it again. He's going to get one. Garcia is going to have another tough play, and he got it at second. Another acrobatic play from Brandon Garcia, and he's got the first out of the inning.
I'm telling you, fans, the only thing missing is the cape. He is incredible. Superhero stuff out there for Brandon Garcia. Great job by Ben Jones to be over there covering, and then as the play takes a while to develop, Evan, the second baseman kind of turns into a first baseman where he's thinking, let me stretch now and get an extra few inches or feet on the stretch, because you know you're not turning 2 on that ball. So very fundamental to go along with a play that is probably outside the fundamentals, a play that you can't really teach there from Brandon Garcia.
Well, even where he was in the field, you're thinking Biesecker is going to pull as a lefty, so he was shifted a little bit up through the middle, and he had to really turn on that. It was almost the opposite of the play before. So now just 1 runner on for the Eagles. Garcia's going to have another one, but this one will get over.
Second time we've seen that first hop on the dirt really play tricks on a fielder as we debate whether it was a hit or an error. It was certainly hard to handle, whatever the ruling ends up being, Evan. Hard shot. I think it was one of those balls that was probably knuckling off the bat a little bit, so it's hard to get a read on. And when it makes that first hop off the dirt, then it gets some spin, and it either stays down, it goes up, left and right. So difficult as an infielder. A little bit easier on the artificial turf, but it's still a tough play when a batter hits that ball that comes at you as a knuckleball.
No doubt about it, and we've talked about it this season, but not all errors are created the same. That one will go down as base hit, and it will bring up Brandon Hartman. Batting .423 on the season. He's got, as we said earlier, 21 doubles, 42 RBIs, and he's 4th in the ODAC for batting average. So he's had some good stuff this season. One of the reasons why the Eagles have continued to be successful.
Well, this is why you have a guy like this as your 3-hole hitter, 2 good hitters in front of him that are on. 9-hole man actually got on, but Lynchburg erased that with the 6'4 fielder's choice. Nice spot there from Zach Potts. Again, the zone maybe a little bit tighter than average. I think both teams are doing a nice job adjusting to it.
That's how this game always ends up shaping up. You have to think it's a game of who can make the most adjustments and do it well, and especially in a tournament setting, you might have a few more decisions to make.
Great call on the adjustments. I think the great players and the great teams, they do that. Everybody's good when they have their A game, but those great players, great teams, they can do it. they can make an adjustment and still be really good.
Hartman is going to take the walk. That will load the bases for Hunter Clever, batting in the cleanup spot today.
I don't hate that if I'm Zach Potts. The pitches were all around the zone. Hartman is obviously a dangerous hitter. If you have the choice, you'd rather give him one base than 2 or 3, or got to get a new baseball because he's parked one. And the pitches were all around the zone, Evan. Potts was so close in that at bat. Again, I don't think he can feel too bad about that. But there is a little bit more pressure now with bases loaded. You can argue maybe a little bit easier situation for the defense. You can go to any bag here with 1 out.
And obviously you still now have a chance to turn 2. Made an excellent point. You think about extra base hits as well. Hartman with 21 doubles, that's something that if it gets in the gap, it was likely a tie ball game. So now if you can turn 2 and maybe get out of this inning spotless, would be a great chance for Zach Potts. Clever at the plate. First pitch will be outside. Touched on it earlier, Potts doesn't like to really waste pitches, so even in that last at-bat, kept things competitive.
Clever, another Waynesboro, Pennsylvania guy, same hometown as Jarrett Biesecker. Ground ball up the middle, it's through.
And Atkins will not have a throw home, and it's a tie ball game. The Eagles have tied things up courtesy of a Hunter Clever 2-run single.
Well, it's everything we thought it would be so far. We thought teams would get challenged and tested. Thought we'd see some great pitching. We knew we'd see some great offense, especially later in the year here. You've seen these pitchers a bunch. That's the one thing about having your dominant starting pitchers. Teams get a lot of looks against those guys. Zach Potts has pitched against Bridgewater now 5 times in his career. And, of course, earlier in that weekend matchup, he got the win, got the start. Potts is always effective, but you're just building more and more of a file on those starting pitchers like Reed Long and Zach Potts. So sometimes it's advantage offense in those situations. Got some guys warming up in the Lynchburg bullpen that we'll start talking about in a bit here. But let's get through this situation. I think Potts, his goal is to get out of the inning without having to turn it over to a different arm.
Pitch in there for a strike, so 0-2 count on Bauer. Potts coming into the game, 75 and a third innings of work. That leads the team. The senior from Oilville, Virginia. Here comes the pitch. It's going to be low. Runners on first and second for the Eagles.
Early in the game, Bridgewater was not laying off that outside slider. Now they are taking it a little bit more, and that's back to you've seen it a little bit more. You might be recognizing it just a tad better.
Very good point, and knowing where it's coming out of the hand, as you've said, it's sometimes difficult to get a read on that with some pitchers. Potts, who has been doing this for so long, a little bit more experience with trying to keep things deceptive. Here at Fox Field, 5-5 ball game. It's over to Jones, to Garcia, to Jorman for 2, and that will end the inning. So a double play will keep things knotted at 5 apiece from Fox Field here in the ODAC quarterfinals.
Great moments are born from great opportunity. That's what you have here tonight. That's what you've earned here tonight. This is your time. Now go out there and take it.
Back with you here on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network. It is 5-5. Lynchburg out hitting Bridgewater 6-4. But once again here at Fox Field, it's a close matchup. It's a fun matchup. Both teams proving why they're capable of causing some damage.
Both starting pitchers are still out there right now, Evan, even though they've surrendered 5 runs apiece. That's in tournament time. That's the other big one, is managing that bullpen. You know you've got some very great options, very, very good options for Lynchburg. Bridgewater's the same way, but you don't necessarily want to burn the bullpen too quickly. You're thinking about tomorrow. You're thinking about potentially 2 games tomorrow. So all these things are what coaches think about all the time. And I like the fact that both coaches are giving their starters a little bit of leeway, a little bit of a longer leash. 1-1 count here on Eric Hyatt. 0 for 1 with a walk.
7 of 9 Lynchburg hitters in the lineup have gotten on base so far. And Hyatt will do it again with a single up the middle. So contributions up and down the lineup, and he'll turn things over to Gavin Collins.
Second hit of the ball game for Hyatt.
Collins, a walk and a ground out in the second and third innings, respectively. He's playing third base today. Leads the team in at-bats, so obviously gets quite a few reps. And what we've touched on about seeing different pitchers, he's also had quite a bit of experience against the Eagles.
I think Gavin Collins missed just 1 game this season, so he started 37. This will be start number 38 now. Fixture in the lineup since his freshman season. He's a proven game winner, drives in runs, hits. His defense has gotten so much better second half of the season too, Evan. He's really playing a good third base right now.
Third base is one of those positions. You don't get as many balls as perhaps shortstop or second base, but to have a third baseman that is proficient, that can fire the ball over to first, it can only improve the defense, and in turn, it only helps the score line.
It's called the hot corner for a reason.
That field, like Fox, you never know with some of those hops. It'll be strike 3 on Collins. That'll bring up Jackson Harding. 2 for 2 on the day. He's continued to really stay hot this second half of the year. Obviously, it's a streaky season as well, so unless maybe you're in that All-American conversation, and even to be at that level, you're still going to have your ups and downs.
Well, we've touched on baseball as a hitter. It's like that. There's very few guys that just get 2 hits every single game. Usually you take some offers. You got a 1-hit game. You dink 1 or 2 in there. Then you have those 4 for 4 games that boost the average back up. Harding swinging on that one. He'll foul it off. There's somebody out there in the world that has probably run through, the most consistent hitters in baseball history, as far as some guy that just averaged 1.2 hits every single game, But usually most hitters are hot and cold.
And it's one of those things throughout sports. There's not really one statistic that can dictate what's good and what's not, especially in baseball. First off, are you talking pitching or batting or fielding? And then what stat are you looking at? Within that, Harding is going to hit 1 foul. And so consistency is always important, and I think for Lynchburg, with the depth that they've had to continue having production, that is what wins ball games. That's why they're undefeated at home.
In the month of April, Jackson Harding had 3 3-hit games, and it looks like 5 2-hit games in the month of April. He'll take strike 3 looking there, so the third hit will have to wait for Harding. He was 2 for 2, but now 2 for 3 with a K looking. It's back-to-back punch-outs for Reed Long.
I believe those are first 2 of the ball game. Might have to double-check that.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And so with Holden Fiedler stepping in, see if he can extend the inning. Hyatt's at first from that leadoff single into center. Fiedler, the grad student from Henrico, Virginia, 310 average on the season. Another one of those veterans getting it done both offensively and defensively. It should be a routine ground ball to third and fired over. That will be the end of the 5th. So 1 hit and no runs, 1 left on base for the Hornets as we head into the top of the 6th. Welcome back here on LHSN. See on your screen, Brandon Garcia. He has continued to get it done throughout the season, and freshman contributors have been not just on the batting side of things, but even in the bullpen. We'll touch on that a little bit later. But for now, Zach Potts is still out there as we head into the top of the 6th. So far, he's allowed just 5 hits, so still limiting contact throughout.
Yeah, it's 73 pitches right now for Zach Potts. You and I were kind of talking in the timeout there, Evan, as far as how long would Lynchburg let him go. I think it's just about effectiveness now. I think if Potts goes 3 up, 3 down here, or maybe not even that, if he's just effective, I think they'll leave him out. I don't think the pitch count's a big concern. The one thing I would point out, though, is that next round is I think Potts is going to get an out on 1 pitch, although this is a tough play. Neves came over and made the grab. Just finishing the thought, Lynchburg, if they get by Bridgewater here in the opening series, that Final Four in Richmond does start on Thursday, so you have a little quicker turnaround than normal for Zach Potts. Usually he's got a full week, a full 6 days, 7 days to rest it up. But his stage in his career, I don't picture that being an issue. Again, I don't know that for a fact. I'm kind of assuming there.
Well, it goes back to that adaptability, and as a senior, you've seen the ODAC tournament multiple times, and back in 2021 when the Hornets came away with it, you've seen how to win it. So I think for Potts, it's just about staying composed, and even if you might be a little bit more fatigued after this one, if you still have a good outing for perhaps confidence, or at least being able to go long in the game and maybe hold on, that could be big for Lynchburg, but lots of work to be done.
A lot of work. This is already a great game. We've got a lot more ball game left, and then there's tomorrow. Glad you mentioned 2021. Zach Potts actually got a win against Bridgewater in that ODAC tournament in 2021. He went to complete game, 3 hits, no earned runs, struck out 8, didn't walk anybody. So, yeah, Zach Potts is a proven winner. He knows what it takes to get it done regular season and postseason.
It's going to be popped out to right field. Jackson Harding has it for out number 2. So once again, getting 2 quick outs to start the 6th. And it will be Nick Stavros who steps up to the plate again. A walk and a ground out in this one. Potts also has a complete game this year, and that's one of those consistency stats you might look at, just being able to keep your confidence up, keep your mojo up, and go out every inning and deliver.
And the extra benefit to that is you save the bullpen in a tournament situation too. Potts just missed there, so it's 2-0 on 2 pitches that were close to Stavros. And there's 2 outs in the top of the 6th.
Potts with the pitch. Stavros, good contact. Ben Jones will hold on. So here through the top of the 6th, we're still knotted up at 5 on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network.
Every great college has a great city. For Lynchburg, we are near urban areas with lots of restaurants, shopping, and events. Plus, we are one of the top schools in the area. Come see for yourself.
Back here on Fox Field, and so is Reed Long on the mound. He's had a solid outing so far. Obviously, big stage of the season. You're going to see your starters maybe have a little bit more run, but again, as Kyle pointed out, tournament time next week. It's going to start on Thursday in Richmond, so the winner of this one might have a little bit of fatigue going on. But for now, we're We're focusing on Fox Field and Carson Atkins at the plate, 0 for 2.
Yeah, Reed Long 2 and 5 this season with a 7.34 earned run average. Compare that to last year where it was 11 and 2 on the mound. And the ERA was under 3, and just really impressed everyone throughout the conference last year with what he did. We're seeing shades of that vintage stuff. He has kept Bridgewater in the game, Evan. Tie ball game at 5 apiece.
We've seen a theme throughout the season, and really with any team that competes, but maybe giving up an early hit or an early knock will allow you to settle in, and I think that Neves homer in the first sort of woke Long up a little bit, and not necessarily that he needed more adrenaline or something, but you get that out of the way and then continue your stuff. And now with both teams at 5, you're still in a pretty good position late in this ball game. Atkins, some loud contact, but it's going to pop up to center. And it will be out number 1 from Bowers. So it will be Garcia and then Jormund. Garcia trying to extend that hit streak.
Yeah, still looking for his first hit in this ball game. It was 21 straight coming into this game. It dated back to early March. Did miss a few games in there, but every game he batted in the last 21, every game he stepped in the batter's box, he's got at least 1 hit. And Brandon Garcia would love to get things going. Does have that sac fly RBI in this game back in the 2nd inning. So some worthwhile stuff in there, but looking for the first base hit, the freshman from Durham, North Carolina.
354 average, 471 on base percentage. So he's getting on almost half of his at-bats. And any coach around the nation will tell you, if you can get on any way you can, that's a very great way to help a ball club.
Yeah, 24 walks this season. Really good from a leadoff hitter. Compare that to only 13 strikeouts as well. There's the base hit.
Little flare in the right, and Garcia is on with 1 out. So leading run aboard for Josh Jormund, who is 2 for 3.
22 in a row for Brandon Garcia, and he has hit safely now in 25 of the 29 that he has played. 25 of 29 games, Brandon Garcia has gotten at least 1 hit. He has got 12 multi-hit games this season. See if he can knock down that mark next time up. You feel like he's going to get another at bat in this one. I guess no guarantees. As we are in the bottom of the 6th.
Haven't seen any pinch hitting or defensive substitutions yet. We hinted at the fact that late in this ball game, we might see a few moves. It's tournament time. You want to have your best options available. See what Jormund can do. He has a triple in the first. Garcia had a few steps off first. He will slide back.
Yeah, Reed Long and Zach Potts, they share a lot of similarities with how they approach the pitching plan and just the way they're even keeled. They've been through this. They've given up 5 runs in a game before. I think they're 2 of probably the better that you could watch if you were a young pitcher as to how a starting pitcher should operate, not be rattled, stay even keel, stay just right at there at a 5 on the 1 through 10 scale of intensity.
This one playable, and nice work for out number 2 was Biesecker. Excuse me, that was Snyder moving over from 3rd to make that catch, and it brings up Avery Neves. So 1 on with 2 outs. Looks like we're going to have a mound meeting, and perhaps Reed Long's day will be over.
Coach Spots could have someone in mind that he wants to try to get Avery Neves out, or maybe it's just a reminder of the game plan. It could simply be what we talked about. It will be a pitching change, made the signal there. So no need in giving you the second part of what I was going to say as far as the game plan. But Reed Long's day is done. He will exit in a no-decision situation. However, that runner on first base, if that comes around to score, that would be his responsibility. But hats off to Reed Long. You know, it looked like Lynchburg might batter him around a little bit. Pitched pretty effectively, stayed in the game, only struck out 2. But I thought a nice performance and just what Bridgewater needed to keep them in the ball game here on day 1 of a best 2 out of 3 situation. We started at 2 today. It'll be a noon first pitch for the game tomorrow, and then if game 3 is necessary, that will come about 30 minutes after the conclusion of the first one.
Well, you touched on the fact that starters are a little more even keel. When you have a reliever come into the ball game, you might want to see a little bit of an energy shift. And a chance for Bridgewater, this stage of the game, tied against a very strong ranked opponent in Lynchburg. Obviously, they are right in this ball game.
Right in it. Back to the intensity. Yeah, I think relievers, especially the one-inning guys, tend to be on the higher side of that intensity scale because you don't need to manage the energy as much when you're going to be out there for a shorter amount of time. Always exceptions. Max Scherzer, he's a starter and is high intensity. But it will be number 8, Bo Rogers, on the bump for Bridgewater out of the bullpen. He has been one of their key options. This is appearance number 16 for him, and they are all in relief. So Bridgewater going to get one of their better arms. Their closer is Brett Tharp, and sometimes in those tournament situations you can get the closer going longer. Normally a 1 or 2 inning guy might get asked to throw 4 or 5 or 6 innings. You never know. But right now it's Bo Rogers to try to get this final out in the bottom of the 6th inning, and he will be in a big spot facing Avery Neves.
Not an easy task. We've seen lots of pitching changes before Neves steps up to the plate. It just shows the respect he has garnered as an All-American. Rogers, so far this season, a 4.94 ERA. He has 3 wins. So obviously you mentioned all those appearances coming in relief. That's something the Eagles like to see, and maybe having some of that a predictable approach that can help in situations like this one.
Yeah, it's always fun to think about those matchups, too. We've got all the data and all the scouting reports, and those are valuable, but sometimes the eye test as well. Sometimes you look at a guy like Avery Neves swing, and in the dugout you're saying, hey, Bo Rogers, or whoever the case might be, he might be perfect to get him out. He's got that action with the 2-seamer, whatever the case is. So all those things come into play there when you're thinking about a move like this. And I think it's probably what we mentioned a little bit earlier. You'd rather give up 1 base to Avery Neves on a walk than have him leave the yard again or maybe hit a double. Nice little slurvy kind of a breaking ball start from Rogers. That was good to watch.
See a little bit of a high leg kick. Some of his action off the mound. Garcia's at first. 2 down here in the bottom of the 6th. Will stay low. Fox Field, it's been a great crowd so far. Really has that tournament atmosphere. Really got started against Guilford last weekend just with the energy that was brought for Senior Day.
They'll throw over on Garcia. He faked a steal on that previous pitch, Evan. That's a good play that I like. You get the defense moving around just a little bit, and maybe it's just enough to open up a hole for a hitter.
Always want to throw different looks. He does a little bit of the same, and caught a strike by the first base umpire.
Should be a 1-2 count, I believe, with 2 outs here for Avery Neves.
Rogers a pitch away from getting out of the inning. It's going to be a big one to Neves. Outside, Garcia thought about running on it. He'll stay put at first.
Good stop from Jonathan Sexton there. Diving stop, doing his best shortstop impersonation, going to the backhand to keep that one off the wall.
Catching duties might be some of the hardest to execute in baseball. So many different looks you're going to get. Not going to get this one, and the count is full with 2 down. So Garcia will be on the move.
That's important because Garcia is the kind of guy that could go first to third on a base hit. He is the kind of guy that could score from first on a double.
Big pitch from Rogers. And he walked him. So Runners on first and second. They'll move things over to Ben Jones. Still searching for his first hit of the ball game.
It's walk number 5 that Lynchburg has taken so far in the game. Those are always fun numbers to look at. They entered the game averaging 5.13 walks per game, so they're basically right at the average there.
Jones in a big spot, as he really has been all season long. He's played in 27 games. This is his 28th. And he's played in all but one since March 11th. That was a doubleheader against Roanoke. Really a time of the year if you're a Hornets fan and you can point to a time of transition perhaps. That was a series that really woke the Hornets up, and they have been churning ever since.
Yeah, split on the road with Roanoke. Won game 1, lost game 2, 3-1. Bats went a little bit cold. Roanoke's pitching deserving some of the credit for that. The Roanoke Maroons are the 3rd seed in the ODAC tournament. They will have aspirations to try to win it all.
Lost in the ODAC championship last year to Shenandoah. So another team that has been around these tournament situations. Jones going to earn the walk, and Eric Hyatt is going to be up to the plate with the bases loaded. So back-to-back walks for Rogers. Might have to control the heart rate a little bit, as we know the Hornets can put up some big innings even with 2 outs.
If you're Rogers, back to what we were saying about Avery Neves, I don't think you hated that walk. And then Ben Jones behind him, you know he's a dangerous hitter as well. You don't necessarily want to give in and just go middle to try to not walk him. However, you're playing with fire when you put extra base runners out there, and Eric Hyatt behind those guys can do a lot of damage himself. He is 1 for 2 with a walk in this ball game. The designated hitter, Eric Hyatt, 0-1 count.
It's going to be fouled back. And an 0-2 count, so Rogers potentially a pitch away from dodging trouble.
So maybe that was the game plan against Neves and Jones. Don't give them a sniff. Don't give them anything that they can sink their teeth into, and then go after Eric Hyatt if you do end up walking them, because Rogers has done just that. 0-2 count with 2 outs.
Close take, but Hyatt will, so it's a 1-2 count. He has an RBI in 4 straight games that he's played in, so trying to make it a 5th. And another one of the Hornets who has come alive during crunch time. The 1-2. Another one low.
Ball popped out of Sexton's mitt. I'm not sure if he caught it cleanly, if he would have gotten the call or not, but that always hurts the frame and the presentation a little bit when you don't secure the actual ball. But it's 2-2 now.
That's why it's called a battery. There are 2 parts to it, and a lot of times in earning those strikeouts or getting the ones you deserve. It's a 2-person affair. Hyatt pops one up. The Eagles might be out of it. Who has it is the question. It looks like it was a shortstop running over, and Sumter will keep the Hornets scoreless here in the bottom of the 6th. So still 5-5 from Fox Field. We'll be right back.
To them, the whole world looks like an opportunity, one to be seized, built upon, and made better for their sport and the people around it. To student athletes, every opportunity is a chance to change what could be and show the world what opportunity can do.
Football has taught me a lot throughout my life. It's definitely had a huge imprint on who I am as a person, competing at a Division III level. Created that opportunity for me to go to college. Not only was I the first one in my family to graduate college, but I was really the first one to even go. Being the first one, I'm breaking that cycle, and now that I've graduated, I'm not sure what's the next step, but I know I have a lot of doors open. and a lot of those are open because I played football and ran track here at Otterbein.
Think of
It will be 9-1-2 due up for the Bridgewater Eagles in their half of the 7th inning. Kyle Haney, Evan Gates, and some of our closest friends, our 4 closest friends. No, it's bittersweet the end of the season, Evan, because you've been working with people all year, and then you know that's coming to a close. Although we will be here tomorrow, but I'm told that some of our crew is not on the call tomorrow. We might have a new team to work with. But that'll be fun, too, as Zach Potts is still working for Lynchburg. That is pitch number 83. It is a strike to the catcher, Jonathan Sexton.
Still pitching efficiently. Like you mentioned, it's a long season. If you remember the start, really for any ball club in Virginia, you have temperatures that are lingering around 40, 50. Maybe you get a 60 there in February, but different part of the season. This one hit him.
It's another one that's going to have a little bit of a controversy and discussion, as Sexton did go around, and I think that he knew right away he went around. Now, Coach Spots is going to walk down and ask the question, hey, it hit him. Did he swing or not? If you swing and the ball hits you, it's just a strike. And then you can have the combination of the foul ball as well. The umpires are going to get together. Sexton kind of immediately walked to the batter's box. That's what made me think he felt that he knew he went around. But to that point, it's the umpire's opinion that matters, not the batter. Even if you think that you know you swung. Let's see. I think I just heard the umpire say foul ball. Yeah, so it's going to be a 1-2 count. And let me mention the fact that that's happened a couple times in the game, Evan, tells you a whole lot about Zach Potts' movement that he gets on his two-seam fastball. This is a pitch that is starting on that inner third or the inner black, and by the time you swing, it's about to hit you. I mean, it's almost like a left-handed slider. He gets that much movement on his two-seamer.
Especially when that starts brushing the inside part of the plate. That's something that even if you are fundamentally sound and you know when to take a pitch and when not, by the time you make that decision, like you said, it's maybe in a whole new spot.
And then the beautiful thing about that is you come back with your four-seam fastball that doesn't move as much. You try to throw that right on the corner, and then the batter thinks, well, I better lay off because it's the one that's moving into my body, and all of a sudden it stays straight. So it's a great way to pitch, and one of the big reasons why Zach Potts he's a proven commodity, man. He is a game winner. 2-2 count as that one skips into Fiedler's glove.
Well, we know there are some guys that will have large arsenals, lots of different pitches, but if you can control what you throw effectively, then that's really all you need on the mound. And I think Potts can just find a way to overpower hitters with the stuff he uses. Not saying that he's limited to 1 or 2 pitches, but he doesn't need 6 or 7 different looks.
Totally agree, and he got a good look right there. Looked like the breaking ball, outside corner. Sexton couldn't pull the trigger, and it is a strikeout looking for Zach Potts. Just his 4th K of the ball game. That's credit to Bridgewater's hitting approach. Been swinging it really well. And this guy is really first and foremost. Jarrett Biesecker, 2 for 3. He had that fielder's choice that he hit pretty sharply to Brandon Garcia, and Garcia was able to go the short way to second base for an out. 1-0 count on Biesecker. Had him dancing in the batter's box, and they will call that a swing. 1-1 count.
One thing I like about Biesecker's swing with that foot out in front allows him to get a lot into it when he turns. This one's going to be pretty quiet contact, and Jorman will tag the bag for the second out.
Didn't quite get enough hops for Biesecker to be able to outrace the ball down to first base. Good job by Jorman. Don't take a chance with the flip to Potts. We know Potts is capable, a great defender, but just take it yourself. And now the umpires are giving Coach Spots. That's an easy mistake to make when you have Zach Potts on the mound. Ben Spots is the 4th-year head coach at Bridgewater, and it sounds like the umpires had enough of that. Coach Spots was an assistant coach at Bridgewater. He was part of 469 wins as an assistant, and he actually spent some time as the head coach at Eastern Mennonite, actually won a ODAC Coach of the Year award at Eastern Mennonite. Coach Ben Spots. There's a missile off the bat of Brett Tharp. That one is in the right center gap. Atkins was in the zip code, but he'll have to pick it up on a couple bounces. Tharp turning second, going into third. Throw is going to be too late. Gavin Collins with a nice play to knock it down, and it's a triple for Brett Tharp.
It's the athletes in the lineup who can create chances themselves that are certainly valuable to a team's success. And Tharp right there with 2 outs, still able to get a triple and maybe set the table for Hartman batting behind him. An excellent spot for Bridgewater to start causing some damage and take the lead.
First extra base hit of the game for Bridgewater. It is the 3rd triple of the season for Brett Tharp. Second triple of the season for Brett Tharp. That gives him 8 extra base hits total. And it looks like Zach Potts' day is done. He'll hand the ball off to associate head coach Travis Beasley. And Lynchburg's got the cards that they can play. They'll play the Jack of Diamonds, Jack Batchmore, coming out of the bullpen to try to not exactly close it down, but get the win here for Lynchburg in a tie ball game. 5-5. Batch has done this a couple times this season. Enter when tied or behind. Batchmore is 6-0 this year with 8 saves. You mentioned his name earlier, Evan. He is in the top of the conference standings in ERA and a bunch of other categories, and he's in the top 10 and top 5 of some national categories as well. Jack Batchmore has been lights out all season long.
Well, the 2 pitchers with the most saves in the ODAC are both in this ball game, Jack Batchmore and Brett Tharp, who just got that triple. So seeing a little bit of both sides being presented, and I think it's a smart move here from Beasley with Batchmore, because with this new mindset, obviously Potts is maybe thinking back to that triple. Obviously we know that he's good at getting ahead of his mistakes, but Batchmore just has 1 batter to face, and if he's good with it, he can get out at the inning.
Well, and he'll continue for the 8th and 9th for sure, but you're right. Right now, the initial job is retire Brandon Hartman. So that's the other reason for the change, Evan. You want to give their best hitter a different look. Hartman is 0 for 2 with a walk and a strikeout. So it's not that Zach Potts has been bad against Brandon Hartman, but with good hitters, you don't want to give them more and more information. So a nice time to make a change there. And the triple was a factor in that, I'm sure. We could ask Coach Beasley after the game, hey, if Potts doesn't give up the triple, do you let him pitch to Hartman? But it's kind of a moot point right now because this is a big, big situation for both ball clubs. 5-5 ball game. 3-hole hitter Brandon Hartman is up for Bridgewater. Perfect guy for this spot, hitting with 2 outs and a man on third base. Got to be a wall back there if you're holding Fiedler. No pass ball, wild pitch situations. There's a fastball upstairs from Jack Batchmore. And I do think for Batchmore, you have the same thought process that we've discussed a bit earlier. You've got a base open. Don't feel like you have to give in and go middle to Hartman, although I'm not sure those pitches is exactly what Batch had in mind as far as nibbling the strike zone. Those were well up and out.
Obviously a walk won't do anything with the runner on third. That's a good pitch there for a strike, and like you said, maybe you not necessarily pitch around, but if you get them to bite on a few and get in a good count, you can get out of the inning.
2-1 delivery. How about that spot? Inside corner from Batchmore. That's a good combo. You give him the overhand 12-6 curveball and then come back in with an upper 80s fastball. Here we go. 2-2. 2 gone to Hartman. Check swing. Did he go? He did not. We'll go full count now with 2 outs. You feel the tension and the energy. Everybody into that one. See what the Hornets dial up for the full count delivery here. Inside target. Swing and a miss. Batchmore got his man. Runner stranded on third. Jack Batchmore comes in to close down the inning. We are still tied 5-5 heading to the bottom of the 7th at Fox Field. On Kentucky Derby Day, it's neck and neck down the stretch here between Lynchburg and the long shot, the underdog, Bridgewater. Let's see who can get their nose in front at the finish line, Evan, and it's shaping up to be a photo finish here in a 5-5 ball game. Both clubs still with multiple chances, multiple whacks at it. Lynchburg in the bottom of the 7th. They'll send up Collins, Harding, and Fiedler. And Bridgewater, they'll have 4, 5, 6 due up in the top of the 8th. Bo Rogers still out there for the Eagles.
Kyle, we have been treated to some fantastic baseball at Fox Field this season, and just thinking about the last few matchups, goes back all the way to William Peace, where it was a close one. See the Guilford doubleheader, and now Bridgewater bringing their A game. We'll see if the Hornets can continue to deliver.
Yeah, Lynchburg 20-0, undefeated at Fox Field. Not very many of them have been coming easy, though. There have been a lot of close games, and that's what you expect, not just from the conference foes, but from the non-conference teams that come in. We've talked about that mentality. For the non-conference teams, it's kind of their Super Bowl. They're coming in trying to knock off a nationally ranked team at their ballpark. You're always getting everybody's best punch. You got the bullseye on your back. That's probably enough cliches to describe the situation, but that's what Lynchburg has right now as far as their program, not just this season, but years past as well.
And so important, I think the message to a lot of these guys in the lineup has been to bring that aggression early on. We saw that Lynchburg was able to score all 5 runs in the first 3 innings.
Gavin Collins thought he got enough of that. It will force the left fielder back. B. Secker initially was camped and the ball carried a little bit, but it will just be a long F7 for Gavin Collins and the first out of the 7th inning.
It's an interesting part of the lineup because what we've said about how this Lynchburg team has hitters all around, that's important, but you also think about potentially sending up the top part of the lineup in the 8th inning, but I think the Hornets would love to get it started here.
Harding will slash one into left, but Biesecker will come on and make that play as well, so he's covering a lot of ground on the left side of the outfield for 2 outs, and it's Holden Fiedler hitting 8th in the lineup. He'll try to get something going with 2 outs. Remember Lynchburg in the comeback against Guilford last weekend. I believe it was game 1 against Guilford. All those runs in that big inning came with 2 outs. It was a 5-run 6th inning, if I'm remembering correctly, Evan, and they all came with 2 outs, so it's certainly possible.
Well, we've seen quite a few opportunities, too, where the Hornets have batted around the lineup, and it just goes to prove maybe you get momentum, you have energy, and you see your guy in front getting on base, and you want to keep bringing them home.
A little bit of momentum is precisely what Lynchburg could go for right now in a 5-5 ball game. Although you could make a big argument that Jack Batchmore gave him a lot of momentum with that key strikeout. Fiedler will look at the breaking ball. Rogers got a good one. Wouldn't be shocked to see him spin that in there again with a 1-2 count. Get you some updates from some other games that are going on in this ODAC baseball tournament here after our next break. Fastball that missed up and away from Rogers. 2-2 on number 23, the catcher Holden Fiedler.
Fiedler, one of those guys, when you're a catcher, you're seeing both parts of the plate from hitting and catching standpoint, so he knows the zone.
There was the slurve, curveball, slider combo that ends up getting out of the zone. It's a full count now on Holden Fiedler. He has walked once, his first plate appearance. He drew the base on balls. Hits as good as a single right here. Fiedler will foul one away to keep the at-bat alive. As Shenandoah beat Guilford 6-3. Shenandoah Hornets are the number 2 seed. Guilford the 7 seed. I think it was 6 runs unanswered for Shenandoah in that one. And Randolph-Macon leads Hampton-Sydney 2-0. Top of the 9th in that ball game. We are in the bottom of the 7th. Fiedler trying to extend the inning. Another foul ball. Good fight right here by Holden Fiedler, staying alive, putting together a long at-bat.
Can't really look at the scoreboard too much here because even with 2 strikes, 2 outs, you know you're 1 hit away from taking the lead. So the Hornets Hornets have to stay on top of it.
Great way to look at it if you're the offensive team. Here's a delivery from Rogers. He grunted at that one, reached back for a little extra, but it does end up being ball 4. So second walk of the game for Fiedler, 7th one for Lynchburg as a team. And it gets the center fielder Carson Atkins in the batter's box. 2 gone here in the bottom of the 7th, tie ball game, knotted at 5. Looks like game 1 between Roanoke and Washington and Lee won't start until 5 p.m. today. And they're actually playing that game at Franklin County High School in Rocky Mount. So Roanoke must not be able to use their normal stadium because the Salem minor league team must be in town. But back to Carson Atkins, waves through that delivery. Gives a 1-1 count.
Talk about depth, and normally you're thanking the Lynchburg pitching staff and just what the relievers are able to offer, but Rogers has done a great job so far of backing up Reed Long.
I wonder if Bridgewater's going to go get Tharp maybe for the 8th and 9th. I'm sure the score of the game will matter. I think it's a 1-2 count with 2 outs. Atkins turns on that, rips it. Biesecker going back, has a beat on it, jumps for it, and makes the grab at the warning track. What a play. Jarrett Biesecker, he made all 3 outs in the inning. There was a walk wedged in there, but the Hornets strand 1, and we're still deadlocked at a nickel apiece, 5-5 between the Eagles and Hornets at Fox Field. Eighth inning on the way. Bridgewater 5, Lynchburg 5. Kyle and Evan hanging out with you. It's Hunter Clever leading off for the Eagles. He will be facing Jack Batchmore, who got the final out of the top of the 7th in relief of Zach Potts, who pitched really good. Again, if you ask Zach Potts, he's going to tell you, nope, that's not my A game. But I think he did what you need if you're Lynchburg. You turn it over to Jack Batchmore, and then you turn it over to your offense and assume you're going to be able to get a few more runs. Maybe just 1 run needed, but they need at least 1. There's a sharp single by Hunter Clever. Gavin Collins dove after it, but unable to get to it. It's the 2nd single of the ball game for Hunter Clever.
Well, going back to your point about Potts, too, I think when you're in a starting role, it's not always about necessarily being in the game to get your team the lead. Obviously, that's what shows up on the stat sheet, but it's about keeping your team in the ball game, and now still knotted at 5 runs, and with Batchmore in the ball game, I think the Hornets have to like where they're at. Batchmore is going to get this one, throw over to Jorman for out number 1.
Good stretch by Josh Jorman. Lynchburg had the standard bunt coverage there with the pitcher Batchmore fielding that first base side. Gavin Collins would have come on to field any strong bunts in his direction. And this is Isaac Sumter now who will hit with a runner in scoring position. 0 for 3 today, did reach base on Zach Potts' error in the 2nd inning. 1 out in the top of the 8th. Batchmore, great pitch there. Took something off, fell out of the sky. I think it was the 12-6 curveball. Sumter couldn't figure out, at least not on that delivery. Ben Jones is holding the runner at second. Rest of the infield basically normal depth. Gavin Collins in slightly at third base. Outfield shading Sumter to go the other way. Another breaking ball that Sumter can't figure out, and it's an 0-2 count.
The important part about Bauer having a ground ball rather than maybe popping it up is that Clever was able to move to second, so that takes the double play out of the equation.
0-2 count for Batchmore. Went inside with a fastball. Jones jumped for it, can't get there. Atkins fields pretty quickly. Runner will have to hold. It's a single. It's runners at the corners. Hunter Clever at third, and Isaac Sumter with an 0-2 single over the second baseman's head. Hit number 8 of the ball game for Bridgewater as a team. Jeffrey Snyder is 0 for 2 with a walk, strikeout, flew out to right field.
That was a great at-bat from Sumter, just not trying to do too much. You know, sometimes a guy on second, you're thinking you have to be the hero, get the RBI, get the run on the board, but just a little flare like that, and now with one out, the Eagles are in business.
Bunt shown there from Snyder, pulled it back. Hornets coverage looked pretty solid. I think it was a base hit bunt attempt rather than a sacrifice, but you got your first to third safety squeeze situations that teams will run right here. So that might be in the cards for Bridgewater. Let's see if Snyder shows bunt again. He will. That was out a little bit earlier that time. Batchmore misses the zone again. 2-0 count. This might change your thinking as Coach Ben spots over there. Might be more of a green light swing away situation rather than that safety squeeze bunt try. 5-5 tie ball game between Bridgewater and Lynchburg. They'll show the bunt again. That one was closer from Batchmore, but it's a 3-0 count. Bridgewater 3 for 7 today with runners in scoring position. Not a bad number. There's strike one for Jack Batchmore. Compare that to Lynchburg. They're 2 for 7, so not a huge sample size. That's one of those stats that, yeah, you give it, but I don't know how much it matters. 3-1 pitch coming up here to Jeffrey Snyder, the third baseman. He'll show the bunt again. It's ball 4. First walk for Jack Batchmore. And it's bases loaded now with one out. Pinch hitter time for Bridgewater, Nick Stavros is off, and number 31, Tristan Gordon, is on. Enters the game hitting 200. This will be appearance number 8 for Tristan Gordon. It's 3 hits in 15 at-bats so far this season. He does have 1 home run.
You have to wonder if Batchmore's approach changes it at all here, because you also wonder about that bunt. Bridgewater was pretty set on trying to lay down a sacrifice.
Yeah, the safety squeeze with runners on first and third is really great because it forces the defense into some actions that they may not want to. It's hard to do that safety squeeze with bases loaded because you can go home and get a force out. Not that you can't run it, and some teams will run it, and some teams will run the old school squeeze where you have to bunt it. Runner from third is taking off on the pitch. So those options are in play, Evan. Might be a little bit more likely to just swing away. It's actually going to be a different look here. It'll actually be number 4, Camden Herron. So Tristan Gordon went up to the batter's box, and then Coach Ben Spots decided he wanted some different personnel off the bench. This is Camden Herron. He's hitting 265 on the season. This will be appearance number 15. Strike one from Jack Batchmore.
You get a situation like this if you're Herron, just shows the trust that this coaching staff has in him. Pinch hitting role, bases loaded, chance to take the lead.
Batchmore delivers, flared to right. Jones diving, can't get there. Oh, slight misplay in right field by Jackson Harding. He'll scramble and get to it, but a run comes in. Pinch hit single from Herron, stepping up in a big way. Bridgewater with a lead again, 6-5. Eagles are on top, looking for more. Bases still loaded with 1 out.
Another example of doing just enough. And with the bases loaded, everyone advancing 90 feet, it's going to stay that way for Sexton in the 9-hole.
3 singles in the inning so far. Sexton has a hit. He's 1 for 3. Rolled into a double play in inning number 2. And a double play would be right on time for Lynchburg. They've turned 2 in this game. They've been pretty timely with those twin killings all season. 1-0 count as Batchmore misses the zone to start on Jonathan Sexton. Batchmore holds, kicks, fires, up and in for ball 2. 2-0 count. Batchmore's fallen behind the last couple hitters. Are some pitchers warming up in the Lynchburg bullpen. Don't expect to see Batchmore come out anytime soon, but there are options available. 6-5, Bridgewater by 1. Big spot here. Batchmore fires it in there. Sexton, good cut, but he was a little late and under it. Strike 1 on the foul ball.
And out here is huge because if you limit Bridgewater to just 1 runner, you can get a double play out of the inning. Certainly easier to come back than trying to really set the table on the offensive side.
Another good pitch by Batchmore. Pretty similar result. Fouled back and up by Jonathan Sexton. So it's a 2-2 count now. 1 out. Infield is basically regular depth with the exception of the first baseman, Josh Jorman, who is in on the infield grass. Trying to maybe get to a bloop quick and throw home. Here's the pitch from Batchmore. Fly ball, right field. Harding tracks it, lines it up. Runner tagging at third. Harding, good arm. Here's the throw, play at the plate. Relay from Jorman is off the mark. Ball is free, but the runners will not advance. Head first slide in there by Sumter is run number 7, and it's a 2-run Bridgewater lead.
You knew Sumter would have a jump on it. Coach right there to direct him, but that's a big one for the Eagles now up 2, and with only 2 chances for the Hornets to step up to the plate, it's going to be a little bit more of a bigger hurdle to clear.
Hornets are in the hole here and not completely out of danger yet. Still runners on first and second with 2 outs for a very good hitter, one of the all-time best in conference history, Jarrett Biesecker. Ball 1. I think Batchmore tried the curve and missed that time. Biesecker, 255 career hits. The lifetime average is over 370. It's a little bit quiet in the doubleheader these teams played earlier in the season, but just one of the all-time greats, really. 1-1 count with 2 outs.
Touched on the fact Batchmore is likely going to stay in this ball game. You don't see changes like that, especially with someone who has been in the lineup as much as he has. But you definitely have to make pitches, and against a top of a lineup that has been lethal throughout this ball game, you have to continue sticking to the game plan.
1-2 count on Biesecker. He goes to that 2-strike approach where he sort of holds the bat a little bit differently. It's actually pointed at the umpire's mask right now. Batchmore holds. Here's the pitch. Biesecker, flare. Neves was playing in. Great scouting report there. Avery Neves makes the catch, and the inning is over, but it's 2 runs on the board from Bridgewater. They take the lead back on top 7-5, going to the bottom of the 8th at Fox Field on the campus of the University of Lynchburg.
Look what you're missing. It really don't matter to me. I'm just happy to be here. I might go crazy.
lot of people go to the universities to find something to be a part of while getting their education. And when you come here, Lynchburg is that something, it becomes a family. It's what this school's really good at doing.
The closer, Brett Tharp, is on in the 8th inning for Bridgewater. The Eagles take the lead back with 2 in their half of the 8th, 7-5 advantage. Lynchburg came back on Brett Tharp in Game 2 of the regular season series. Evan, they're going to need to do the same thing here, trailing by 2. Top of the lineup returns for Lynchburg. It's Brandon Garcia, 1 for 4 with a single in his last at-bat.
Well, Tharp has been solid all season long in this role, a 2.61 ERA, 17 appearances. This will be the 18th, and he's pitched 31 innings. So Bridgewater clearly understands what they want from him, and in a spot like this, up 2 on the Hornets, you have to think they like where they're at.
1-1 count as Garcia watches the fastball away at the knees. Yeah, batters hitting under 200 this season against Brett Tharp. He was one of the all-time best last year in the conference with 11 saves last year. Excuse me, that was 4th in the country. Grayson Thurman had 13 saves. That's why I had that number in my head. But Brett Tharp was right there in the conversation as far as closers in the country and in the conference. 2-2 count on Brandon Garcia. That one misses inside. Good plate awareness and discipline by Garcia. And it's a full count now on the leadoff man for Lynchburg.
He seems to always find a way to make an at-bat out of it, and he's going to get the walk here.
Got a big shout from the dugout. Got their approval. It's walk number 8 in the game for Lynchburg. It sends Josh Jorman to the plate with nobody out. In the bottom of the 8th inning, runner on first. So your sacrifice bunt's probably out the window because you're down 2. And even if Jorman gets on, it's runners on first and second, then you have Avery Neves, who's probably not going to sacrifice bunt, although I'm sure he's capable of doing that, but that just seems like it wouldn't be the best way to take advantage of his skill set. Now, would it, Evan?
Well, a lot of these rallies from Lynchburg to the season have started with the leadoff man aboard, obviously. In baseball, that's going to be a good thing, but Jorman at the plate, you really have to trust his ability. We know that throughout the season, we've seen him both in a pitching and batting role, sometimes pitching those midweek matchups for the ODAC. But from a hitting standpoint, he's batting .396, so you like what you see at the plate.
Right man, right spot for Josh Jorman. Now it's time to punch the clock. He'll have to do it with an 0-2 count. Brandon Garcia leads off at first. Looks like Tharp wants to step off and take some time, make sure he gets the pitch selection right. Tharp is a grad student from Baker, West Virginia, first team all ODAC last year. Bouncing ball. It's going to be tough. Only one. First baseman vacated the bag. Tharp Tharp got there in front of the diving Josh Jorman. It is out number 1. Does bring up Avery Neves with a runner on second.
This is a big spot for Neves. Obviously, he's had a few good at-bats today. We know that in a situation like this, first base is open. That's better than seeing one go over the wall. But again, Tharp has been in this position, so he knows what to expect from Neves at the plate.
Check swing by Neves. They'll ask the umpire in the field. He says it was a swing, and it's an 0-1 count. Avery Neves has a homer in this game. He has a single. He's 2 for 3. Walk sprinkled in there as well. Neves, big cut on that one. Felt like he was right on it, but it's 0-2. Good pitch by Brett Tharp. Go ahead.
Inside part of the plate sometimes get a chance to pull that.
That one just stayed right below the kneecap. Good eyeball by Avery Neves. One of the best all time at the plate discipline and pitch selection. Even that one had to be hard to lay off of. 1-2. Neves will foul that one into Wakefield House over to our right. And we'll try it again with one out. Brandon Garcia leads off at second base for Lynchburg. Well, just like I think Jack Batchmore is going to finish the game, Brett Tharp's going to finish the game for Bridgewater. He'll be pitching in the ninth. Ground ball from Neves. Tough play, good speed, rolling down the line. Out is recorded there at first base. Strong throw from Isaac Sumter to get 2 in the books in the bottom of the 8th, and now it's Ben Jones.
If you're Ben Jones here, your mindset can't change because getting 1 run here would be huge. It puts you just 1 swing away in the 9th if the Hornets do end up getting retired. But with Garcia on 3rd and a guy at the plate who already has 6 homers on the season, he has a chance to tie it up himself.
Taking strike 1. Tharp just living at the bottom part of that zone. And he comes at you from the sidearm angle. That pitch that stays low is really, really tough. One of the reasons why he is so effective. Strike 2 now. 0-2 count on Ben Jones. Here's the pitch. Foul ball. Jones got enough of that. I think he's confident. Think he likes it. Brandon Garcia leading off at 3rd base for Lynchburg. And the Hornets are down by 2. No losses at home this season, but that is on the line right now. That undefeated home streak being tested in every way by a formidable Bridgewater team that was ready to play from inning number 1. Lynchburg did go up 2-0 in the first, but it's been a great ball game back and forth. Long hold there by Sexton to give the umpire a look, but it is a ball. Ben Jones, left-handed hitter from Durham, North Carolina. Here's a 2-strike pitch. Missiles it past the second baseman. Jones is thinking 2 right off the bat. Quick turn. Gosh, you might be thinking 3 now. The stop sign up. It's a double, an RBI double for Benny Bombs. Didn't really get it airborne, but it was explosive, and it drives in Brandon Garcia. Hornets back within 1.
That's a huge at-bat for Ben Jones. He's done it all season long, but now just 1 run away from tying it, and if Hyatt can get a base hit, Jones might be scoring.
Yeah, big time there. You could see it off the bat the whole way. Ben Jones was out of the box hard. He knew it was a true gapper that even though it didn't go to the warning track, it was really equidistant between center field and right field. They had long runs to get there, and Ben Jones using some speed. We talk about his power a lot, but he can run a little bit too. He'll be a threat to score on a base hit here. It's Eric Hyatt hitting with a 1-0 count and 2 outs. Swing and a miss there as that one fell out of the zone from Brett Tharp. Another one, he keeps it really low. Doesn't miss around the belt very often, does he, Evan?
No, and he has done a good job of at least limiting that damage. Even with Jones and a double there, it just seemed like it rolled into the gap a little bit. And where, like you said, he could have been thinking 3 if he got a little bit more of it.
2-1 now on Eric Hyatt, who has a single. He's walked. He's 1 for 3 in the scorebook now. He'll lean into that one. Try to stay on that breaking ball a little bit longer. Kind of just try to ride it, keep the bat in the zone a little longer. Fouls it off. 2-2 count with 2 outs now. Everybody making noise in that Lynchburg dugout. All the bench players are up along the screen on the edge of their feet for Bridgewater in their side. Here's the pitch. Hyatt, ground ball, second baseman, and it will be 4-3 in the books. Lynchburg gets 1. They're closer, but it's still a 7-6 Bridgewater advantage as we move to the 9th inning at James C. Fox Field in Lynchburg.
College has given me the flexibility to pursue my passions and my interests, and I've recreated my identity for myself aside from just being an athlete.
My greatest personal discovery has been that I am capable of doing things that I didn't know I was capable of doing.
To be able to study what I wanted to and continue to play the sport I love, all of those things came together very nicely in one package in Division III.
Ninth inning time here in Lynchburg. The Bridgewater Eagles looking for some insurance runs. They lead 7-6. Kyle Haney, Evan Gates hanging out with you. It's been one of the all-timers so far, Evan, and I think the finish is going to be just as good as the first 8 innings.
Well, all season long, Foxfield has had that type of energy, as Batchmore will record out number 1. That was Tharp that tried to lay one down. So he got done pitching and put on a helmet, got in the box, but he will be retired for the first. I think for Lynchburg here, it is crucial to try and blank the Eagles. Obviously, we know the Hornets are capable of hitting and coming back, but one run is a lot easier to overcome.
This is Isaiah Blanks in the batter's box now. This was Brandon Hartman's spot. Hartman was the DH, and I think when they made the defensive changes, Blanks came in when Brett Tharp went to the mound. So very dangerous hitter, and Brandon Hartman is out. Isaiah Blanks is a good player himself, a senior from nearby Rustburg High School. And if anything, we saw already how the pinch hitter can be dangerous. Evan, that's how Bridgewater got their runs in the last inning. Nice block by Fiedler, strong throw to first for the put out after the strikeout. And there is 2 down now for Bridgewater in the top of the 9th.
Now batting number 14, Hunter
That's
Clever.
about as good of a first 2 outs as Batchmore would hope for. But obviously Clever in the box right now, capable of making a contribution himself. His last 2 at-bats have been singles.
Yeah, back-to-back singles. He drove in 2 with a single in the 5th inning. It was none in the first for Bridgewater. They scored 3 in the second, blanked in innings 3 and 4, then 2 more in the 5th, nothing in the 6th and 7th, and then a deuce up in the top of the 8th. So they've scored in bunches. It's all multiple run innings on the board for Bridgewater. It's an 0-2 count on Hunter Clever. Lynchburg scored 2 in the first, 1 in the second, 2 in the third, nothing in innings 4 through 8. Swing and a miss, and it is strikeout number 3 for Jack Batchmore. It ends the inning. Lynchburg down 1. They're going to try to tie it and or walk it off here at Fox Field. Don't miss the conclusion on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network.
At Lynchburg, we don't fear change. We embrace it in our students, on our campus, in our community, and around the world. We're building on our legacy of always moving forward. It's the same place with a new name. Welcome to the University of Lynchburg.
Bottom 9 here at Fox Field. Lynchburg down 1, 7-6. Bridgewater leading. Closer Brett Tharp on the mound. It would be actually a win for Tharp in relief. No, it would be a save. He came in after Bridgewater took the lead. But anyway, that'll be the final mistake we make in this 9th inning. Evan, it's Gavin Collins leading off for Lynchburg. Jackson Harding will follow him. Holden Fiedler. 7, 8, 9 due up for the Hornets in the bottom of the 9th. Last chance here. 3 outs to get if you're Brett Tharp and Bridgewater, and you'll have yourself a 1-game lead in a best-of-3 series. Oh, look at this one by Collins. Just rams it into the left center gap. Collins has got 2 easy. Let's see if he gets the stop sign. Yeah, he'll hold at second. Exactly the start you want if you're Lynchburg. Leadoff double from Gavin Collins.
Seems like every single time Lynchburg comes into a situation where they need a hit, someone steps up. This time, Gavin Collins, just like that game against Guilford, right place, right time, and now he's standing on second with a chance for Jackson Harding to drive him in.
He has a knack for big hits for sure. Harding not showing bunt. That was the thing that maybe Coach Lucas Jones could have contemplated maybe briefly. Do you sacrifice bunt him to third potentially? or you let Jackson Harding hit. Now I like this because you got 3 chances to drive him in. You got 3 whacks at it to try to get a single to score Gavin Collins, who's not the fastest runner on the team, but has pretty good wheels. We've actually seen him score earlier this game where Gavin Collins had to really get it into 5th gear down that third baseline. 1-2 count on Jackson Harding. Here's the pitch from Tharp. Harding gets a piece of it. That's good 2-strike hitting right there. I think you could tell he was a little bit fooled on the breaking ball that came into his knuckles, but he got enough of it.
You know, the old adage, just spoil the pitch, try to get it a new look.
Harding will take that one. Another guy with excellent plate discipline, knows the zone. Another guy on this Lynchburg team that has more walks than strikeouts this season. 2-2 count. Harding, ground ball to short. Oh, it hit Gavin Collins. He is out. It hit Gavin Collins. He is out. It's a dead ball. Harding gets first base. This is actually the 3rd time we've seen this season, believe it or not. Harding is on first base. Collins is out on the runner interference. My word. Usually you see that once in a couple seasons. We've actually seen it 3 times this year. The pinch hitter will be Riley O'Donovan in the batter's box as we try to digest what just happened.
Well, it's one of those plays that's hard to avoid because he's going to be running to third, and you wonder, there's likely not going to be a throw there, but obviously as a runner, your only responsibility is looking at the base. So something that it's unfortunate, but the Hornets have to step up, and Riley O'Donovan will pinch hit, try to do so.
0-1 count. Good little nibble right there from Brett Tharp. 1 out. All is not lost for Lynchburg. The tying run is on first base. You got a power hitter and a run producer. Riley O'Donovan in the batter's box here. Pinch hitting. Carson Atkins would be up next. You're looking for something you can drive if you're Riley O'Donovan. When you get 2 strikes, the approach might change a little bit. Bouncing ball. This could be 2. Shortstop will not be able to go to second. So Harding slides in safely. Shortstop Sumter fielded the ball in front of the bag. It all comes down to Carson Atkins. Runner in scoring position, tying run in scoring position. Number 12, Carson Atkins, hitting with 2 outs.
I like that decision from Sumter to throw to first because if you go to second and you don't get that out, then you're in trouble with 2 on the base pads.
I agree. Take the sure thing. You'd like to get the leading runner, keep that tying run out of scoring position, but I agree with you. I think it was the right play for Sumter. There's an off-speed pitch that comes in at the knees. Strike 1 on Carson Atkins. Atkins with power. Single should score Jackson Harding. Atkins swings on this one. It's into right field. Right fielder is under it. Clever makes the grab. Bridgewater gets the upset. 7-6. The Eagles take down the Hornets. First loss at home this year for Lynchburg. Record at Fox falls to 20-1. And now Lynchburg will play from behind. The 1 seed will have to win 2 games tomorrow to advance in the Old Dominion Athletic Conference tournament. Bridgewater 1 game away from advancing to the Final Four in conference action. Tip your cap to the Eagles. They were ready. We said long shots can win the Kentucky Derby. Bridgewater, the 8th seed, they got it done today in game 1 of the 3-game series.
Well, you go back to their doubleheader against Hampton-Sydney to get into the ODAC tournament, and now you get a shot at the Lynchburg Hornets. You know you're going to want to capitalize. I think the Eagles did a great job of just hanging around long enough. That point in the ball game after the bottom of the 3rd, it was 5-3. And really, throughout the rest of the ball game, Lynchburg's contact was limited. Pitchers did a great job, and they really maintained that energy all game long.
Yeah, it was a great pitching performance from Reed Long. He started it, handed the ball to Bo Rogers, and then it's Brett Tharp, the closer, coming in for innings 8 and 9. Great job by Bridgewater. Defensively, they made some good plays as well. And hitting, you know, it wasn't a lot of extra base hits. I think it was just the 1 triple was the only extra base hit for Bridgewater. But they got it done. They got the hits when they needed them at the right times. Evan, Jack Batchmore is going to get his first loss of the season. Falls to 6-1. It's a no decision for Zach Potts, who pitched well. And now Lynchburg's got their back to the wall tomorrow.
Well, that's baseball, Kyle, and that's what's so special about our sport is that there are going to be there is a tomorrow for Lynchburg, and they can come out and try to have a different outcome. But again, give credit to Bridgewater. 2 games tomorrow if Lynchburg wants to move on, and we know that all year long Foxfield has produced some really fun outcomes, so we'll see what happens.
Starting pitcher options tomorrow for Lynchburg are probably going to be Brandon Pond and Wesley Arrington. Not sure in what order, and that could change, obviously, just depending on different factors. But it's a 7-6 win for Bridgewater today. For Lynchburg, just final thought, and then we'll cut it loose. You got to have a short memory. You got to come out tomorrow with full confidence. Baseball is that even keel sport where you try to play and give the same energy regardless of record or situation. Some teams can play on energy, though. Some teams play better in those elimination games, back to the wall. Some players are the same way. I think that we're going to see a Lynchburg team ready tomorrow. I think we're going to see a Bridgewater team ready tomorrow. They're full of confidence, too.
For sure, and this is a great test for Lynchburg. At this point of the season, we've talked about it all year. You prep for tournament time, and when it comes, you have to be ready. So the depth will be tested for the Hornets, and we'll have to see if the bats can keep going, try to cut in, and maybe take 2 from Fox.
Lineup construction will be interesting tomorrow as well, and then to see how both teams use their bullpen. Lynchburg, number 4 in the country. You don't have to win the ODAC tournament to get into the NCAA regional. There are some at-large bids available, but even Lynchburg at number 4, sometimes you never know how that shakes out. You don't want to take that chance, Evan. So it'll be a fun day tomorrow. It'll be probably an intense, pressure-packed kind of day tomorrow, but that's what you play for. I'm really looking forward to it. I think both teams will give us a lot to remember on the diamond out there tomorrow. It's a noon start time for Game 1. If there is a Game 3, Lynchburg would have to win Game 1, fans. But if there is a Game 3, or Game 2, rather, in the series, if Game 3 happens, fans, that'll come 30 minutes after the first game tomorrow at noon. But you can see it here live at Fox. You can see it, as always, on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network. Kyle Haney saying so long for Evan Gates and everybody that helped out on the broadcast. Thank you so much, and we really appreciate it. We hope you'll come back and check us out tomorrow. Lynchburg and Bridgewater, best 2 out of 3. The Eagles lead 1-0 after a 7-6 win at Fox Field in Lynchburg.